they're going to keep it on this one fixed, pointed this way at us.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's good. No, it's good, Jake. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
You're welcome.
Couple
All right,
extra
so what's coming around right now, Victoria, I'm handing something out to everybody, is I just essentially copy and pasted copy and pasted from the email that I sent to the steering committee, sort of guiding you all to prompt you with some questions and as an overview of what we've done in the revised draft. So my hope is today what we can do is go through the questions, and those are on this sheet that everyone got. But as a sort of preface to this, what you have in front of you is a revised formatting draft and some approach changes as well to the design guidelines as we've been working with them. We have not changed any text at all. Nothing's been changed. All we've done really is bigger pictures, fewer pictures. We've created sort of like a hero motif where you're going to see the same houses show up over and over again. Recognizing that none of us have spent any time in a pure sort of graphic design program. So let's not get too hung up on, if we like how wide a border is on a picture or anything like that. That's not what today's conversation about. Today, what we're trying to get is, how do we feel about having larger pictures? Are they too big, too small? How do we feel about the new format of the guidelines being more in line with the picture, almost acting as a caption for a picture? Does it make it less confusing, more confusing? How do we feel about the concept of having the hero homes that sort of permeate through the whole document? Does that seem to work? Are there too many of them? Are there too few? How do we feel about the mix of historic homes, meaning homes that are old, and the more recently constructed ones? We did try to, that was some guidance we got last time, find some newer homes, and with some help from Marianne as well, find some newer constructed homes that still met the guidelines. So we tried to mix those throughout. Is it a good mix? Do we need more recent homes? Do we need more of the historic homes? Recognizing that our next step is going to be to get professional photographs taken. Like I said, these are still amateur pictures. Are there hero homes that you absolutely love and want to keep? Are there ones that you think might need to be taken out of the mix? Let's focus on the quality of the design, not necessarily the quality of the picture, please. How do we feel about the diagrams? So we cut back a lot, but we still did leave in some diagrams, specifically when they could be used to show what a no should be. One of the directions we took from the group last time was, let's try to make this a positive document, so you won't see any pictures of actual homes with red X's over the top of them anymore. But how do we feel about the diagrams that were left in? Are they effective in filling in those gaps? Are they distracting? Do we want to see more? Do we want to see less? And now that there's no photos with red X's on them, how do we feel about the effectiveness of the guidelines? So now that we're seeing this in practice without red X's on homes, are we still okay with that? Does it still show us what good design is? Does it feel less focused now? Has it become too weak? How do we feel about it? So I just basically paraphrased everything that's on the piece of paper that I handed to everyone. Those are the questions we want to tease out of the conversation today. The other thing we can get through in the conversation, if you grab the attachments, there's two attachments up there for you. There's the revised guidelines, and then there's essentially a picture book of homes. And we didn't pull every home from the picture book, so there's more pictures in the picture book than what's in the guidelines right now. So if we don't like pictures that are in the guidelines right now, we have some options to bring them in. For me, it's up there on the table for you. For me, the biggest takeaway from today is going to be how we feel about the reformatting and restructuring of the guidelines. And if we can get through that first, and then maybe we can loop back and go through pictures, whether we like them or don't like them. But I really want to make sure we get feedback on the structuring of how the guidelines are right now.
Can I just add one quick?
Yeah,
it's great, brilliant. It's brilliant, and I'm very happy that you prepare all those questions. I just wanted to, and then you at the end did something I was about to do, which is, I think there are two basic overall topics: the format and then the pictures. So let's, and I think you're right about the sequence. And you just referred to, I want to make sure we understand, where is this picture book? Is it something that people have access to in the room?
Yes, they do. And I have it, I can email it to you, Victoria, if you want to pull it up on the side.
Okay.
You want
All right.
want that?
And Yeah, if you don't mind. Yeah, I don't think I have that. But and quantity wise, could you just recap, either you or Jake, how many properties have we selected so far that recur? Like, are there 5 main characters, 10 main characters, and then how many are in the picture book to draw from at this point, more or less?
Jake, do you know if
Like, what's the size of the task?
For either.
We don't know off the top of our heads.
We used a,
Well, maybe, yeah, I'm just trying to get a sense of the scale of what's ahead of us for figuring out. So, we can come back to that. But yeah, I agree with Brandon. Let's start with the overall formatting and just, if people are happy continuing in this direction of, less illustration
Yeah, so
and more positivity.
if you're okay with it, Victoria, I think what I'd like to do is use the questions,
Yeah.
go in that order, get the feedback from the steering committee first, maybe, and then see how our huge community outturn today feels about it. How do you think about that, Victoria?
I think that's good, but again, anything that deals with pictures, I would just leave it until the picture phase of the
Agreed.
meeting.
Okay,
If that's
great.
okay.
Jake has a comment, yeah.
Just as a response to Victoria's previous question, I don't have
Yeah.
exact numbers, but I tried to do my best to
Yeah.
use as many different homes as possible, just so we had a variety of home styles, sizes, materials, all that. So I tried to do as little repeating as possible and use as many of the homes as possible. Didn't pan out perfectly. There's definitely some repeats in there, but that was kind of the thought process I had going into it. So.
Okay, thanks for that.
So I have one generic.
And I see the picture.
Yeah, Nancy has a generic question. I'll repeat it for you. Go ahead.
So there is text in here,
Mhm.
and I know we're not scrubbing text, but is the thought that about this much text would support the pictures and the items? Is it generically proportionate at all, or not at all? This is the text we.
This is all the same text. Yeah, so Nancy's question, is this the amount of text we're presuming would support
Yeah,
the
I
pictures?
saw, I
Yes,
heard
we are
it.
not.
Yep.
This
we're-
is close.
This text, I think, is not going, this is exactly everything we've covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This is,
This is the final text.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
On the kind of flip side of that, I made sure to highlight any of the captions or the guidelines that don't have a picture associated with them, where it seemed like the description gave enough information you didn't need an associated picture. I highlighted no image needed. So that's something where we could potentially use even more photos if you guys think
Yeah.
the design guide is not clear enough.
this layout so the revised layout did come out of the multiple meetings we had with this group.
Right.
Going through literally every single picture in the last draft, whether we needed that picture or not. And so this was the fruit of that labor. So if everyone's okay with it, I think I'm just gonna go down the questions and I'm gonna ask the steering committee to reply first. Jake and Ann and I will keep note of the responses, and then whatever that engenders as far as like edits we will do. So I think the first question is, how do you feel about having the resized pictures? Are they too big, too small, just right? I'm looking at the steering committee now. Anybody? Sure, Marianne, go ahead. I'm looking at you.
I think the smaller of the picture sizes is in here is the right size.
The smallest of the bigger pictures.
The smaller of the bigger, like the size rather than this size. So when you go to page 6 and 7, for example, I think what you have on page 6 is a good size. It doesn't need to be as big as what's on 7.
Got it. Melanie, what do you think?
Generally, I think they're good. I think in a few spots, which we should discuss, we could use half size of this to make an additional point if we need to. And, but in general, I think the size of the pictures is good. But I don't think necessarily, if we need to, if we think it's appropriate, we could do a half-size picture. But the thing I like about this is that we do get some context for the built environment from this size picture, which we didn't really get before.
It was really hard when they're this big.
Well, yeah.
Don, what do you think?
I didn't have any reaction in general, but I agree with Marianne, the smaller ones, they do the job.
Yeah.
And Victoria, what do you think?
I agree with everyone. I would make them on the smaller side, as Marianne pointed out. The only thing I don't want to lose is how it's always got white space on either side of the photo. So like, I don't want to have it so small that the text leaks to the side of the photo. I think this is very good, the horizontality of it.
Okay. Yeah, we were really happy with that too. Thanks for that comment, because we even played around a little bit. These ones that are smaller, that was intentional. We thought, well, we'll try a couple different sizes, and I like the white space too. So that's a good comment. Thanks, Victoria. Okay, look at that. We've finished one question already for the steering committee. Community members, Nancy's a thumbs up. Yeah, you can just thumbs up if you want. Carol, Mel, everybody's good. Okay, community is good. Bingo. Question 2.
Nice.
How do you feel about the new format of the guidelines being in line with the picture that it's meant to represent? Does it make it less confusing, more confusing? Is it pleasing to the eye? Any other comments? So how do we feel about the new format of, like, if you go to stay on page 6 where the pictures are their different size, guideline 1.2.3, it's directly below the one that it's referencing, and it says see above image. Do we like that new style so that the guidelines are essentially captions to pictures? Marianne, since you started this off last time.
I do.
Okay, Marianne does.
I do.
Okay, Melanie does. Don?
I do.
Don does. Victoria, can we get a 4-person bingo on this one?
I think it's great.
Okay, cool. All 4. Okay, community? Thumbs up. This is the easiest job ever. Okay. Number 3. How do you feel about the concept of hero homes repeating throughout the document? Does it work for you? And then I do want the feedback on this. Are there too many or too few? Because I have some opinions on that as well. But 2-part question. Now that you've seen it in practice, do you like seeing homes repeat through, creating this sort of hero? That's question 1. And then question 2 is, should we have fewer or more of these hero homes? Let's switch it up and go to Melanie first.
Well, first of all, I'm not wild about the idea of hero homes. I think my personal opinion is many of these homes in here are not really good examples to be using. So what I'm going to support later on is taking a real serious relook at the pictures that are in this document.
Okay, let me pull that to the side for a second.
Yeah, I am.
So
I'm not going to say anything.
The notion of the hero homes, though, even if you don't like the pictures, do you like the idea, the concept of hero homes?
I just don't like that idea. I think the houses should just be here as examples of what's Carmel and what fit the guidelines, and not say that they're, put them in a category. It's kind of like putting the red X on something, that this is so special, unless we're going to work to make these examples very, very special. And I think,
you know what, let me rephrase really quick to see if this clarifies things. Instead of just sub out the term hero home for a second, and let's focus on the question of whether we want a small cast of characters versus a very large cast of characters. In other words, a small cast of characters where one person can play multiple roles. One home building. Or do we want each? So you heard Jake say, I kind of tried to get more examples in there. So the question is, which direction should we tilt at this point? Toward fewer cast members in our production or more cast members in our production? Is that right, Brandon?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah.
I think Melanie's still...
No, that's what
you're okay with that? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just... I'll stay away from
which
saying
direction?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Don, what do you think?
Maybe there's a matter of semantics, the hero thing. I think to have good examples is fine. I may bring it up later, but some of it's repeated so many times.
Yeah.
One, I know it's off subject, but this one bothers me. This is shown 6 times.
Oh, no.
That imparts importance to that particular house, and I wouldn't give it a red X, but it's,
Yeah, it's not your favorite.
yeah.
So even, like,
It's
let's
not mine
say,
either.
that's, to that comment, Don, even if that picture was an exemplar house for you, you still wouldn't wanna see it repeated 6 times.
No,
Okay, so the comment there might be careful how many times you repeat a house.
Right.
Are you okay with 2 repeats, 3 repeats maybe throughout the document, but once we get
if it
past
warrants,
that?
if it illustrates points clearly enough.
Okay,
Yeah, if it warrants.
okay. Okay, that's a good comment. Mary Ann?
I don't think there should necessarily be repeats unless absolutely necessary. There are so many different special houses all throughout town. I'm sure we can find one for each sample, one for each point in the document without having to repeat it.
Okay. So Mary Ann, you then maybe would say we don't need a cast of characters. Every house only has one role to play throughout the whole document, and that's one specific guideline.
Yeah, I wouldn't be dogmatic about it if there's really one house that perfectly fulfills both,
Okay.
but I wouldn't definitely not repeat it 6 times or 4 times,
Okay.
you know.
Don't force it.
Don't
basically.
force it,
Okay.
yeah. I think that there's plenty of great different houses in town. So find a good one for each point.
Repeat if needed, but not to
Mhm.
not to drive a theme. Okay. Victoria, what do you think?
So in order to help myself answer this question, I just kind of skimmed through and did a count. I think there are about 85 photographs in this document right now. I don't know how many repeats that means, but that's a lot, and it's hard to find 85 things. So that's why I wanted to understand the scale of what we're asking. So like if we cut that in half, or let's say we cut that in a third, and we say we'll allow something to be repeated 2 or 3 times. Now we're talking about finding 40 or 30 or 25, you know what I mean? So it's still a big ask. And I don't disagree with anything anyone said, but I'm just trying to figure out, can we actually find lovely, beautiful, because we have that other problem, which is we have to make sure it's one that doesn't make a mistake, or that we can Photoshop out that mistake, as Marianne might suggest, and it be credible. So I just throw that out there. I don't know the answer. I would love it if we could come up with 85 great main characters, but I don't know if that's possible.
It sounds, one of my big takeaways from the comments is I don't think we should aspire to get it down to 12 houses for the guidelines. I think it might end up being 40 and we repeat some of them. But I also I agree with Victoria. I don't think it's practical to think we're going to find 85 individual homes that are good examples. I think, how many homes are in Carmel? 3,200-ish.
And you don't think you can find 80 good homes?
I mean, that's a fair point. So Marianne said, out of 3,200, you don't think you can find 85 good.
I don't know if you can find 85 good that have 0 things
Yeah.
that disagree with the design.
Right, that's the thing. Or like find 85. Okay. Yeah, photoshopping, yeah. Okay. I think it's a good goal, but I think the note is let's not aspire to only have a dozen homes in the cast of characters.
Yeah,
sure,
I think we should think of it as 30 to 80, that range.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. So to the public, Mel has a comment. Go ahead, Mel, and I'll parrot it back.
Thank you. Just a question about, as you're looking at the mix of homes, how many of the phases of our historic context statement are being represented?
How many phases?
Well, yes, our context statement has several periods,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, would that be a consideration? Would that be helpful?
Yeah.
Just a comment.
So Mel's comment was, and it's a good one, is just...
I heard it.
Oh, good. Okay. I think and you're the only one on, so good. Okay.
What'd she say?
Don wants me to repeat what she said because he didn't hear it.
No?
She said we need to consider the historic context statement, and if if we are representing from all the different periods of the context statement, and if we care that we are or aren't. It's just something to keep in our head. So I did think is a good point, because we did look at all of the styles that are represented in the context statement. We looked at that, but whether or not we're looking at the periods, I would presume if we looked at the styles, we covered all the periods. Yeah.
There's if you in the photo booklet, the first crop of photos that I was working off of were all these homes that are from the historic context statement. So I tried to use, well, my first run through is only using those homes, so there's a lot more repeats, and it's all these historic homes. So we tried to get as best we could one of everything. Yeah, harder than some.
Can I ask a question when you get a chance?
Go ahead.
We used to know this as a group at the top of our heads, and I don't remember, but we know the answer, I think, to how many categories are in the historic context statement, whether it's by style or by era. I think it's like is it in the couple dozen? Is it in the 3 dozen?
I don't remember. I looked it
Does
up. I
anyone know
remember
that?
looking it up. For some reason, the number 13 sticks in my head. Yeah, I think it's the low to mid-teens.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I just want to thank Mel for her comment. I think it's really useful, because now when we're talking about scaling this project and kind of quantities of numbers, I think if we're going to increase the quantities, then we should try to distribute and try to at least have one from each category from the historic context statement if possible. And I just think that's a good crutch when you're looking around, because it's hard otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good comment. Thanks, Victoria. Carol has her hand up. Go ahead, Carol.
My understanding of the historic context statement is simply to document, categorize what has appeared over time, and I don't know that that has a direct relevance to what we want to encourage in Carmel proper. So I would think that shouldn't be a guiding principle in how we formulate this. I think we should be looking at what we want to see in Carmel, and not necessarily what has happened over, because if we get to destructionist movements, and we have a couple of destructionist homes in Carmel that are added to the historic context statement in 20 years, we aren't really promoting destructionist architecture. So it's the same principle applied today, I believe.
Well, I think in theory, though, let's say theoretically that destructionist style architecture starts to get approved in the future, that is the city planning commission, city council saying that's a type of architecture they want in the city, because all those projects go through a discretionary process, so they would become part of it.
The design guidelines should be the ones that tell them what they should be approving, not them showing the design.
Well, that's my point, is whatever gets approved in the future, you have to presume that it's being approved within the lines of the design guidelines.
You would assume that in the future, but we haven't been having that in the past.
It has not been what's been going on.
Yeah, it's not what's going on.
But it would, okay.
I think there's a way to get out of this that's simple, which is that most of this document, as we have so carefully organized it, does not actually promote any particular direction in terms of its architectural style or language. We just don't promote that. And so most of our principles have to do with, site design, trees, making sure the windows are authentic, things like that. So I don't think you'll ever, except where we talk about consistency of architectural language, I don't think you'll ever see any advocacy in this document for any direction one way or the other. It's illustrating totally different points. So I don't know if that helps in terms of, I just wouldn't be afraid that you're advocating for a certain building. And if there's a building we think does not do, and I have to say, I think there are a number of them even in this example, that don't quite do what we want the design traditions to do, then we should probably not put that one in.
I think Mary Ann was trying to make a comment. Sorry, go ahead, Mary Ann.
I just wanted to respond to the historic context, because I was there with Init Sales when it was created and when we did the survey, and just like in Pacific Grove, where they actually have a historic overlay zone, which Carmel doesn't have, the particular mix of what is currently what we have from the past is actually incredibly important, because that creates the feeling of the town overall.
Right.
So that not one or the other type of architecture that creates that special feeling of Carmel, like it is in other historic places, not then overpowers everything else. That's why that historic context is really, really important, and the mix of it that is documented in the historic context statement, because I think that makes the town. So in that sense, that historic context statement is really important.
Okay, I have one more issue about the 85 homes pictures issue, besides the historic context statement, which is, I agree with Marianne and others that I think 85 pictures is not unreasonable. It may be more work, but the other thought I had was, what if we have pictures, for example, and we have the text under it that applies to that picture, and then say, also 2.3.1 picture applies, so that they have more than one house that they can look at that applies to this particular text. I mean, that may not always be the case, but there may be, we can call back a picture from earlier in the text or even later in the text that applies also to this, is a good illustration of this particular text point. So that's just another thought.
I think that's a good idea, Carol. I just want to get back to this point about looking at the historic context statement and talking about periods. I think the way we have chosen to do this is appropriate. I mean, we're being eclectic, and we're looking right in here, we're looking at different periods of time. I don't think we should start getting caught up in trying to categorize things related to another document. This document is its own self, and this thing has been in the 4th year of creation, and I don't think we should start going back and trying to fit things into another committee or commission or board's work. I think we've done what we're doing and we're happy with it at this point. We're just doing all of the finished work, is my understanding on this. And these photos are extremely important. And I like the way that you've tried to do it, Jake. I think it needs more work, but I just don't think we need to get off on some other tangent about trying to work in specific historicity and go into another layer of review on this.
I think the intention, Melanie, was that all the city documents relate to each other, basically, so that they work with each other, not necessarily that this one gets, sidelined. So I think it's good if we don't need to necessarily directly refer to it, but I think it's really good if there's a consistency in city documents.
Oh yeah. No, I agree with that. But I mean, our task is to do something totally different than what their task was. And to try to format what we're doing now, or look at what we're doing now, because we've been looking at everything over time, to start now putting things in boxes. Well, this is this period, this is this period, this is this period, and make sure that we have everybody happy. I think we're going to ruin the whole job if we try to start doing something like that now. So I think we should just press on with the good work that's being done, and try to.
We're going to strive for consistency among all city documents, not necessarily trying to make them all exactly the same.
Right.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. Question number 4. How do you feel about the mix of historic and more recently constructed homes in the document? Is it a good mix? Should we have more recent homes than historic homes? Should we have more historic homes than recent homes? This is just a general thought. I know we're going to be refining which pictures we choose, but from a philosophy perspective, Should it be 50-50? One of the conversations we had at a previous meeting was, we're writing these guidelines for people that are doing new construction. So should we, at the very least, need to include pictures of relatively newly built homes so they can see how the design guidelines can be implemented in modern day construction? So, steering committee, what do you think about that? Marianne, why don't you, we'll go back to you again, why don't you start us off on this one?
Yeah, I agree that there should be good examples of recently built homes.
Do you have a strong feeling about the percentage, old homes versus new homes, 50-50?
I think that is where the historic context statement could come in as a good supporting document. Everyone agrees that they want to retain the character of this town. And so the character of this town is made up out of a certain mix, and that should not get out of balance. And if we exclude all the boxes that nobody likes that went up recently in town, and just look at everything else, there is a certain mix, and it would be good to analyze that and stick to that.
So the question is though, so that's setting the architectural style aside, just from a pure mix of homes that were built in the last, say, 10 to 15 years, homes that were built 80 years ago, like, you think 50-50 mix is a good mix? Should we lean heavier towards more modern, more newly constructed homes versus the older homes? Or do you have a strong preference either way?
Well, these are design guidelines meant for people who build new houses, so the more new, really good examples we can find, the better. Yeah.
Okay. Melanie, what do you think?
Well, first of all, I just want to make a comment about, and it really jarred me, because when you look at what's really being done in town, there are so many remodels. I don't look at this document as just something for new construction. I look at this as remodels, and I want that emphasized, because that is the bulk of what's going on. And those are where some of the problems are. And so I would like that, corrected in the text, and emphasize that if this is not just for new homes, this is for remodels too.
Okay, I don't think that's a thing, and sorry, that was just the way I wrote the question.
No, it's
but
in here.
It's in the guidelines too?
Yeah, I'll give you the page
Okay,
later.
yeah, thanks.
I think the way things are done in here now is fine. I think there was a,
It's a good
there's
mix.
a mix.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's a decent mix.
that's a good note about the remodels, thank you.
Yeah.
Don, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think we should try to categorize things one way or the other. It should reflect the diversity of the town, and that's what we've got.
Okay, so the question, but to the larger question of the mix of homes that were built in the last 10 to 15 years versus homes that were built 75, 80 years ago, how do you feel about the mix of newer construction?
I just don't care to characterize things that way. I just don't care to characterize things that way.
So you would be okay if the document had all, if the 80 pictures that we find are all homes that were built 80 years ago, you'd be fine if every single one of them
That
was
wouldn't reflect Carmel.
What's that?
That wouldn't reflect Carmel.
Okay, so where do you fall on this one then? So do we need to have a mix of newly constructed homes and older constructed homes, or you don't care?
That's part of the character of Carmel, so yes.
Okay, great. And Victoria, what do you think?
I love going last all the time. It's so nice to hear everybody else first. Well, I thought I'd direct you all to a nice comparison of the very first image that was chosen here on the first page, which is a house on Junipero, and then a house on, I think it's page 44. Let me just correct myself. So one is newish. The first one is newish. And the second one is quite old. I'm sorry, it's on the bottom of page 31.
Bottom of page
And
31.
31.
And it's 31. It's a historic home. Everyone else will know which home this is, and I've written about it, but it escapes my mind right now. So it's under 4.3.5. So if you go to the bottom page 31, and you look at those two buildings kind of in your mind's eye as partners, one of them's from the past, one of them's from the present. And I consider those to be like siblings in a way. There could be better examples than that, but that's the one that I happen to. So to me, I think one way to make this task easier, and again, I feel a little daunted having been the primary photo selector for the last nightmare round. So maybe I'm a little overly skittish, but let's say we think we can do 85. I think distributing them by period, distributing them, I would argue almost 50-50 or close to 50-50, like historic, and then great example of a respectful historic interpretation is a wise way to go. I think it basically halves the mental effort, right?
Yeah.
So I like the idea of a 50-50 more or less. It doesn't have to be strict. And I like the idea because we require in this document that you retain and build on the history of the town. So if we can show the relationship of how people do that, just even if it's subconscious throughout the document, I think we will have reinforced that point.
That's a really good point, Victoria. And great catch on that. I mean, those two definitely are siblings. That's great. Okay, so we'll go to the public then. What do you all think?
So I think the most important thing is that the images reflect what you're calling out in the point in the document. And to me, disregarding the age of old versus new is that's secondary. But I agree with Dawn's comment. I mean, we do have old and new in the village, and but the driving decision-making has got to be, does it support the point that's being made, the written word? If it doesn't belong. And age is irrelevant for me.
I agree.
Age is just a number, you're saying, Nancy.
Yeah, there you go.
And a lot of them have been remodeled, so what do you call them? New, old, mixed,
Yeah.
Ageless.
Ageless.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself.
Steer this ship back.
Ken.
Okay, Mel, did you have anything to add?
I do, and I think I'm riffing off of what Victoria said. If indeed we do include examples of that reflect quality homes from our historic context statement, I think it would be in the interest of everyone reading the document if somehow that was called out. And I see that in what we have here, there aren't captions. I don't know if you've made that decision to not include captions for the photos. And
That's where
that
the
would be
call-outs are. The call-outs
No,
point to
I think,
pictures.
no, to your question, Mel, we haven't made that formal decision. The idea, the concept here is that the guideline directly below the picture kind of is meant to be the caption for the picture.
Right.
But if you're suggesting like calling out if a home is featured in the historic
See
context
the
statement.
image.
right, and and I'm having for me, and I think I'm in a minority of one. I am having a difficult time. The photos are so beautiful and very well done that I'm having a very difficult time reading the text and figuring out what the main section is for the text and the different bullet points that I should be paying attention to satisfy that section of the text. But I recognize if I'm in a minority, then I'm in a minority.
Can I jump in on that lovely comment? I think that one of the things we discussed that's not yet in here, Mel, is that the caption, the parenthetical orientation to the above or below image might also include something like, see the use, so I'm still sitting here looking at bottom of page 31, just because that's where I'm stuck, but instead of just see the above image, it ultimately might say, see the way the clapboard is applied in the above image.
Yes.
So you explain why you're referring to that image and what exactly about that image you're supposed to be examining. And I think and I also like your idea, Mel, that you could say, even in this parenthetical remark, see how the historic Smith house applied clapboard in the above image. So everybody's oriented, especially, you don't have to name people's new construction, see the Chickatants house or whatever. You can, but you could name the things that have shown up in the registry. So, because that's an educational, a teachable moment also, right?
Well, yes, I think so, and I think the idea behind this document and all of the city documents is let's educate our property owners and our developers and our builders so that our planners have greater support out there in our documentation.
Yeah, that's great, because all the historic homes do have like adopted names too, you know, they're in with the DPR, like they're given a name, so.
And I have one more thing, just for clarity of what is being called out. It might be helpful, just, this is kind of boring formatting stuff, but just bolding the actual design guideline to like 1.1, bold that, and then bold the actual parenthetical, just so it's a little clearer, like, hey, look at me here, see above image for platform, just to make it, I think that would help a little bit with, since the pictures are.
There is nothing boring about formatting, Jake.
Not at all. And it's super important. I mean, it becomes your UX in the end. But that's not what we're here for today. And this is beautifully done. So please don't misunderstand my comments.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So can I ask, if we're closing down this number 4, that we put number 5 as number 7? In other words, we skip 5 for now, because I think that's a big separate type of topic, and go to 6 and 7 first. Is that okay, Brandon?
Oh, I think that's a real good idea, Victoria. So we'll go to number 6. We're going to ask the question, how do you feel about the diagrams being peppered throughout the document alongside the photos? Are they effective in filling in gaps that photos might not be able to? Are they distracting? Do you want to see more? Do you want to see less? And Victoria, you get to go first this time.
No.
Yes.
I was enjoying. All right. I'm fine with the thing as it is. It doesn't, I think you put in as many or as few as you need to make the points. And they don't seem problematic in terms of the look of the document, especially if, going to the format side, we fix all that so they appear similarly. That's my gut.
I was really happy how clear they stayed when we blew them up. They're good resolution, actually. Okay, Marianne?
Yeah, I think it's a good mix. It works.
Okay.
And some of the diagrams, I think, could use a little clarity on, like in this one on page 8, where's actually the street and where's the front yard. I mean, if you look, you see it, but it could be noted a little better, maybe.
Say that again, sorry. We're looking at page 8, Victoria, I don't know if you heard that. Marianne had a comment about that diagram, how we might be able to.
Yeah, I heard it, yep.
So what is the comment?
Well, when I looked at this diagram first, where there's 1.3.3, you don't really know, is that the end, is that where the driveway is? Oh no, the driveway is down here at the bottom of the page. So, just to kind of make it a little bit clearer, yeah.
Like adding a north arrow, I mean, not north arrow, but like orienting
entry,
you a little bit.
where the street is, or,
Yep, good.
And I think that has to do with literally the framing of that particular diagram. So yeah, I think the formatting of these diagrams needs attention in general, of course, and maybe some drafting. I don't know.
Okay. Melanie?
I agree, totally. I think it's a very good mix, and I think it's very helpful to have them in there.
Okay. Dawn?
I think there's some mixed messages coming across. Contradictory almost. I just lost it. On page 36, you've got a hero home. One I think we all agree is a good home. And below it, you've got something that talks about broken up roofs. I think the layman would be hard pressed to figure out, is that a good example therefore or not? Or no, X. And there's another one which really tries me. I can't find it, one with 2 fireplaces.
we don't need the X, I think.
permanent.
Having the good example is enough.
Okay. So like you guys, so then the comment here on page 36 might be that we just don't even need that diagram. Okay.
Okay, so we exit out.
And I can't find the fireplace thing, but it shows a fireplace.
Can you,
diagram
I'm sorry, could someone
around it,
repeat?
And I swear
I'm
that
having a hard
the
time hearing Dawn.
illustration is the same thing.
Victoria, the first comment was on page 36. Don was saying
Yeah.
that we don't, because the picture is so good about what it means to not using visually complex and busy building forms, we don't really need the diagram to show a busy or complex. So that was a case for just totally getting rid of that diagram altogether. And then I think Don was making a case that there's a
Page is
fireplace
that
one that has the same situation.
56? Page 56.
Page
And
56.
somebody explain to me the difference.
Well,
Yeah,
I
mine is
can't.
floating.
Yeah, it's a floating chimney
Yeah.
as opposed to, yeah, that's the whole
So
thing.
the diagram is meant, on page 56, is meant to illustrate. So Don's question was on page 56.
Yeah, that's that one I heard, yeah.
Okay, so the diagram is meant to illustrate because it's hard to show in a picture like what a floating chimney looks like. We don't want that.
Yeah,
So I think that Don's comment is a good one. Like we can go back through with a more critical eye on the diagrams and see if we have a positive picture that is so obvious that it doesn't need the contrary when we have a picture and a diagram together. Because sometimes we don't have a picture and a diagram together, and then actually that's the more common application of
And I
these.
think that's better, like here you could skip the picture to.
And
the
just use the diagram.
And then it would be clear.
Yeah. So maybe it is pick one or the other. Like
Yeah.
okay, that's
okay,
good.
that's a good idea.
Sometimes you just need an X one, especially if it's just a diagram and not a
The
house.
chimney I think is a great example of that.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
I think Marianne has found the answer. I think we should not get rid of any X'd out diagrams if we can help it, because they're the only things, but we can get rid of the photo. That's great. But
We
the
don't
X'd out
need-
diagrams, the X'd out diagrams are very clarifying for folks new to the Planning Commission, I think.
Right.
Okay. We just don't need both because they might confuse people.
Exactly.
Okay.
This displays like what the
Yeah, I think that's the concept we just came up with. Yep.
I just don't, that particular diagram, I don't think is that great, because frankly, they have all this more or less the same slope and stuff.
Mhm.
There are much worse ones in town where they have gables
Yeah.
and stuff all
We
over
can, so we can
the
draw
picture.
something better.
So, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
What
So you
trees
wanna get
somewhere,
another
make a
picture?
diagram out of
Yeah.
it,
Do you want to get another picture, or did you want to?
Another diagram.
Different
Prove the
diagram.
Another
diagram.
diagram
Okay.
that has more of those crazy.
We
things
can
in
take a
it.
picture of a bad one and then trace over the top of it and create.
Okay, so what did we decide with this one? Marion,
Either
what did we decide with this one?
delete the
We'll just-
picture and
Sure.
just use the diagram.
Okay,
We'll take the editorial license on that one. Yeah.
I mean, remember the principle that we stumbled on a while ago, which is if it's something negative, we're using a diagram.
Yeah.
And we think there are times when we want to say something negative, so then we have to have the diagram. And then I think there's another small debate to have, I suppose, which is, to Marianne's point, is the best way to show what not to do to use an example that's right at the line so that people know where the line is. Like if you just take out some of these bay windows in this crazy example here, then we'd be good. Or do you want to be egregiously diagramming the worst case scenario, and so that people think to themselves, oh, I'm not planning on doing that. That's horrible. And so then anything in between the tipping point and the egregious example starts to feel okay. So you can probably see by the way I phrased that, I think I'm more in the camp of, I want those bad ones to be right on the line. This, as soon as you get this far, you've crossed over into non-Carmel territory. So that's just my case. We don't have to litigate it right now. I just want to throw that out there.
Okay, it's a really good comment. I remember us talking about that before as well. Okay, so I'm gonna look, our public group has dwindled by 30%.
33.
33, thank you for the math, actually, yes, 33.333%. And so we have two members of the public now. How do you guys think about the diagram in the document?
I agree with what's been said. I think if we're gonna have, I agree with Victoria and others that, that it's okay to have the X with, if it's with a diagram and not an actual picture of a house. And sometimes we need it to explain what we're talking about.
Okay,
Yes,
Mel? Mel's a yes, okay, sweet. Okay, 6, done.
100%.
All right, question 7. Now that there are no photos with red X's on them, are we still feeling good about the effectiveness? And we kind of just had this conversation a little bit. Do we still feel pretty good about the effectiveness of the guidelines? Does it feel like we've focused more on what is good? Does it feel less focused? Does it still guide people towards what good design is? Has it possibly become too weak because we don't have a lot of red X's all over everything? What do we think? Melanie, what do you think?
I don't think the red X's are particularly, a positive. I think we're going in the right direction. But I think once we spiff up the pictures, I think it'll be much stronger. I just think that the most important thing that we do now, after all the time spent and so forth, is that we have a strong document, and we have one that people can understand, people can appreciate the differences, and all the nuances too. And I think we're getting very close there.
So I'm gonna tease a little bit more out of you. So that's a really good comment. With respect to just focusing on not having pictures with red X's anymore, do you think that that was the right decision? You don't think
Photographs, right?
What did I say?
Well, you said picture, just to be really clear, it's
Photographs,
photographs
okay, yeah.
versus drawings. Yeah.
Thank you. So with respect to not having red X's on photographs, Melanie, do you think changing that, it's still a good document, it's still strong enough, using positive photos only seems to send a good message still?
Yeah, if they're, like I said before,
If they're good photos.
if they're outstanding photos,
Okay.
and not just marginal things thrown in there, then I think we can accomplish what we want. But if we can't come to that kind of situation where we have really outstanding photos that people can understand what we're trying to say, then I think we've got to go back to something else.
Okay, I have confidence we'll get good photos, so
Yeah.
I think we should just
I think we
operate
can
under,
too. We
under
just
that
have to
assume. Yep.
assume that we can
Mhm.
spend the time to do that, because the photos are, I think, extremely time consuming for everybody.
They are.
And I think Melanie doesn't mean photography. I think here she means the selection of the buildings.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and I think I agree but this has been a really good exercise pairing this thing back down over the last year or so to this, because I think it's gonna focus our hunt on pictures, and I think it's a much more accomplishable goal. Even if we do strive for 80, it's much more accomplishable than where we were before. Because I don't know if you counted, Jake, but I didn't either, but like how many pictures we had in the last version, but there was at least 150 or 200 pictures, so.
Yeah, we've gone through a lot of pictures.
We've trimmed down the photography in this quite a bit, which is great.
Meeting guidelines that had multiple pictures on both sides.
Right, and they were, stuck over the top of each other. Okay, good comment, Melanie. Dawn, what do you think?
I would agree with what's been said. I was going to say that the ultimate effectiveness and the quality of this will depend entirely, be a function of how good the photographs are.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Said it better than I did.
Marianne?
I forgot the question, actually.
The question
I'm
was, now that we don't have photographs with red X's on them, are we still feeling good about the effectiveness of the guidelines? Do we feel like somehow we weakened the document by not having the angry red X over the top of photographs?
No, I'm good with it,
Okay,
yeah.
good with it, okay. Victoria?
Angry X's, that's not prejudicial at all or leading.
That was
But
100% leading, just to be clear. I didn't like the right access
But-
either, so it was intentional.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm totally fine with it. I will say, just to put a pin in this, as I'm still on page 36 for some reason, I see here that, well, I just want to say again, with an added twist, that working out the parenthetical remark to be really disciplined is probably going to save us and also help us find the buildings, because I noticed seeing here on 36, the place where we just removed the photo, but we kept the X diagram, it says see above image and diagram, see above images, plural. So I think we need to be very careful that we're guiding people in that parenthetical remark, and that helps guide ourselves. We can't have plural references, I wouldn't say. We just have to know exactly why we're looking at a particular photo. So that's just my plug. But I agree with everybody else, what they said about 7, including the angry comment from you, Brandon.
I think for that one, the reason it was plural was because I thought actually all previous pictures in this section, if you look from page 34 to 36, I think all of the building elements are not complex, monumental, formal, out of scale. So that's why I said images plural. But
You're totally right. No, you're totally right, Jake. I'm just saying that when I think about the user who is completely new to this potentially, I just think we have to be super hand-holdy in those captions. Can't let them adrift like that.
I think there's a few previous guidelines where like each section has kind of a splash page with the multiple pictures, and it breaks it down. And I had a few where it was the first guideline, I just said refer to title page photos. So maybe adding a little more like that. So for 36, you could say instead of see above images, you could see all previous images of section 5 or something else, or just keep it to a singular. Just the specificity, I like that, makes sense, and I think there's ways to work with it.
Yeah, I think it's being intentional with the captions.
Yeah.
Captions are very important.
They are, yeah, very much so.
Yeah. And can I just say one thing about
Of course.
that? For instance, like on, the front of page 9, this one, you guys, I think it's really important, like pointing out, the second subordinate theme that we were really stressing, and having that bold, Jake, that's extremely important, and having it fit with this here.
You're on page 10.
Huh? Yeah, I said the back of 9, yeah. Because I think that in all the verbiage, sometimes it gets lost where the breakoff is for the sections that we had in our original document. I don't know if that makes any sense to you. But that's a very good one, this highlight, so you can really see what we're trying to get at. And then the points, when you go to point 1, under 2, point 1, that relates to all of these guys back here. And so point 1 should be highlighted too, so that people understand where we're going. Does this make any sense to you, Brandon? You have a furrow.
I'm a little flummoxed because this page here, page 9, is in the enhanced section. This is the cover page to the subordinate section.
Yeah.
So they're not related to each other.
No, I'm not saying they are.
Okay.
I'm just saying, all I'm saying is that when you turn this over, the first, when it says 1 here, not 1.33, when you go to 1 or 2, I'll show you guys later. All it is a thing that brings people's attention to what the main theme of what you're saying under all these other points. And that's just a simple formatting thing. But there are so many points.
This thing right here, the switch off, because this is the main subordinate section. This is the main.
I get that.
Okay.
But mixing up all my pages, what I'm trying to say is that when you come to the main point under, like, you have 1 and then you have a whole subsection of points that you're showing in the pictures. But those are not highlighted. I can show you that later, and then we can discuss it at a later point.
2.1 and then 2.1.1 and 2.1.2, like that.
Yeah,
if you want.
yeah. Just to, yeah, so you
2.1
don't,
bolded or something like that.
yeah, just the second, yeah, so that people understand, we're not using this, others are, so that they, all of this stuff that comes is understandable to them in the major points that we're making under the largest points.
Got it. Almost the hierarchy. So this is
Yes.
the largest point.
Yes,
This is the 2.1 is the second largest point, and then you got 2.1.1, 2.1.2, which are like the sub points of 2.1.
yeah, just so that the clarity of the main points, like point number 1, point number 2, everything underneath them are sub-points of those main points.
Well, that's how we had it. Originally, we had it all indented properly.
No, let's just move on.
I
I'll
know,
talk to you about it
yeah,
later.
I'll talk to Melanie. I'm pretty sure we got what she's saying now.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we can do some formatting stuff.
Yeah, it's just a
Yeah,
formatting
it's just a
exercise.
formatting thing to highlight an understanding of what's going
I'm
on.
with you now.
I mean,
The hierarchy.
I'm not flummoxed anymore. I got it.
Yeah, we've lost that formatting. We need to bring it back.
Yeah.
And then, but back, I'm sorry my computer cut out and I had to rejoin, but I just wanted to finish this one point to Jake's, the conversation with Jake. We have to have a very, and I'm happy to help you with this, Jake, we have to have a very disciplined reference for the user in that parentheses. I learned from my 20 years in Carmel almost that not everyone has the capacity to understand what you're looking at when you have to guide them. And so, for example, in 2.1, let's stick with that. Nestle a building in the trees to minimize the mass visible from public view. First of all, of course, that photo, we're going to get to question 5 in a second, does not show buildings nestled in trees. However, if you scroll up one page, the photos house there does appear to be nestled in trees. So then you would maybe use a different photo and you would say, as, you know, see the way the building is smaller and lower than the canopy that's primarily to the left, you know, this kind of thing. You have to tell them exactly what they're looking at. And that's helps you know that you've selected the right photo also, if it works as an illustration of that moment. So let's not get in the mental habit. This is again my opinion, and others can please refute it, but I don't want to get in the habit of being loose about these illustrations. They have to be there for a specific purpose, and we have to tell them what the purpose is in those parentheses.
Yeah, I see what you mean, like directional and referential. So see 3 images above demonstrating buildings nestled in trees. Some, you know, concise, but it gives exact direction on where to look and what you're looking at.
But we can't, because we can't write 3 sentences in the caption trying to explain what's in the caption. So we need to figure out ways to pick the right picture that you can say it concisely in one to 5 words.
Yeah.
I think one sentence is okay.
Yeah.
So see how the front window is in proportion to the gable in the above image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it might be good to do a little caveman speak. You know, non-full sentences, not necessarily perfect grammar, but say see 2 image above gable, front gable or something.
But I think we take the note. We'll take a first swing at it, and then we can all word craft that. Okay. So oh yeah, please. Sorry, I almost skipped the pulse.
Yeah.
Please forgive me.
Well, I think listening to Melanie, I have the question, will you be planning to do like a table of contents or an index?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Because this will, and we talked about this.
Yes.
It feels like years ago, it might have actually been years ago, but the table of contents will, because this is gonna be an electronic document, we'll also have links
It'd be
back.
links,
into
yeah, cause you don't want me to read 58 pages to figure out that
I want you to
I
read
need
all
a
58 pages.
handcrafted fence,
I do
right?
want you to read all
Like
58
at the, but yeah, cause we want them to use it,
Yes.
right? And
When you
if
wanna
they
know
have,
about windows, you'll go to, and we have
well, I'll be able to look at, yes.
all the pages that contain windows. And goes to
There's
page
somewhere,
70.
maybe in the back, there'll be an index, in the front there'll be a
Yeah,
table of
I
content.
like that. Bookend it.
There'll be
bookend it
a
with
hyperlinked index is
But
what we
want it
discussed, a
used, so they're
hyperlinked
not
index.
calling you, right? I mean, we want them to call you, but not if it's in here.
Just to
I'll
say hi.
take you. They can
Just
find
to say
an easy
hi.
answer. Yeah. Oh.
There
Oh,
it is.
they're welcome to call.
Thank
me
you.
To say hi to.
All right, so.
One more,
Carol,
one
what do you
more.
think?
Oh, Carol,
Okay, good.
Carol's
How
asking.
do you think we did? Red X is gone. Is it still an effective document?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I wanted to also add that in terms of finding more pictures, I know that David O'Neill sent in a whole bunch of pictures to somebody sometime, and he could do that again, so that you'd have a lot more fodder to work with. So I can request that of him if.
I don't know if we need that. Let's go. Well, we have quite a bit of fodder here between the guidelines and then this side sheet that we gave you. There's a lot of pictures in here, so.
Yeah. It can't hurt if you're looking for a
Yeah,
specific.
the design guidelines, the
Yeah.
repetitions for this second sheet you have, Melanie. This one. And these are all individuals.
Yeah,
So
no
this
repeats.
is a full list of pictures, no repeats. So we're gonna go through this next.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Okay.
But look at on the front page of what you've already got in here. That's what I'm trying to say. You've already got this, you've already got this, and looking at this, you've already got this. These are
That's
all
intentional.
in here.
Yep, no, that's good. This document, we're gonna get to it in a second. This was meant to be the whole menu of all the pictures that were available to us to use, so that we can go through and say we like something or don't like something.
And not a lot of the pictures in here were used, but not all of them were used in there. So there's some that haven't been seen. We just wanted to create a full menu, basically.
So does this include those photos then that were sent in?
This includes all photos in here plus some extras.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
we wanted to give us as many options as possible for
Okay,
photo
good.
review, because
I
as
didn't
much as I
understand
tried
that.
to take a crack at it, there's no way I was gonna hit, 100% out of the park on all these. I mean, 95% of them.
All of
Can
Melanie,
I make a
you're trying to say
procedural
something.
suggestion when I get a chance?
Hold on, yeah,
Can you get a
Victoria,
chance?
let Melanie say
Well,
something.
I just
Sorry.
wanted to say, Mel, one of the main purposes of this document is so that the planning commission and others have a very clear idea of what the guidelines for the community are, and that they are used. And so that's why we're going through this exercise. And because we haven't had good compliance from the planning commission or others with the current state of guidelines. So that's why we're being so particular about all of this.
All right, Victoria, what's your procedural comment?
My procedural suggestion is that when we now move to question 5, which is the thorniest of all the questions, I will just say for myself, I'm going to have a hard time determining whether a picture is in the right place, a picture I love, let's just say there's a house I love, and I don't want to discuss today whether it's in the right place, illustrating the right thing, because I still need Jake or a team of me and Jake to go and bold that parenthetical part and tell me what I'm supposed to be looking at in that thing. So I would suggest that we don't get into this is not illustrating that point or whatever, and instead we make this a very simple exercise. Do we like this house or not? And could it stay in for whatever purpose? I'm not saying that wasn't what you were going to try to do, but I'm just saying that's my preference.
No, that's 100% what I was trying to do. So I agree
Okay.
with your procedural suggestion, because that's what I wanted to do too. So
Okay, good.
that's why we have the second attachment, the one that I emailed you, Victoria.
Yes.
We can now just go through picture by picture, and let's.
Oh, we can just do it on the catalog. We don't
That's
have
right.
to look at
That's
the
the
guidelines.
point
Oh,
of the
good.
catalog.
No, that's better.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so the point is, so now we're gonna set the design guidelines aside. We did some great work there. We took some excellent notes. We are going to go through recognizing that every picture that showed up in the guidelines is gonna be in this catalog, plus some more. So this is meant to be a supplemental, recognizing that we probably are still gonna get feedback that we might need some different pictures in the guidelines that don't show up in this catalog either. but let's just do a starting exercise of going through this catalog, because this will help us as staff. And I think we'll probably recruit Mary Ann again to help us find some more photos, because she was so helpful with that. But this will help us if we go through this catalog to get feedback on whether a photo should be excised, never used again in the guidelines, or if it's a good one, and maybe a brief conversation about why, because that'll help us zero in on trying to get to 80, essentially, if we can. So with that, maybe let's just start. Now, we don't have page numbers, so I apologize for that, but that's okay. We can just start on what is the first page of the physical document that you guys all have here, and Victoria, you have, I'm assuming, up in front of you?
Yeah, I do.
Excellent. There's nobody, okay, nobody else is on Zoom, and so that's good. I don't have to present it. Victoria, will you let me know if you see somebody pop up on Zoom? I'm not really looking up.
Yeah, if I see it, I'll tell you.
Or we will too, but if you see something, let us know.
I don't actually have a list of questions. What was this question?
Which one?
The one we're about to do.
This is number 5.
Yeah, what is the?
The question is, oh, thanks, Jake. Good.
Sorry.
Jake's bringing us back to structure. I love it. So we are about to endeavor on question 5. Recognizing that the next step will be to get professional photography done, and I said these are still amateur pictures. Which homes do you love and want to keep for sure? Which homes do you think might need to be taken out of the mix altogether? Again, focus on the quality of the design, not the quality of the picture, please. So with that in mind, let's just start at the top. We're going to start.
And can I suggest a kind of thumbs up, down, or kind of sideways, like maybe a yes, no, maybe vote, maybe at the steering committee level at least,
Okay.
or for everybody, but ultimately the steering committee.
You want to just do a yes, no poll for every picture rapidly, just steering committee, and then deep dive in more, and that way we could just have 4 checks here, 3 checks here, 2 checks here, and that gives us a rating for all our pictures.
Sure. Okay. That's a good idea. We're just gonna do roll call because that's gonna be easier than thumbs up, especially with Victoria being remote. So first picture, I'm gonna go around the room.
Are we talking about?
Yeah.
Yes,
picture.
we've moved on to the catalog.
I don't understand how we can do that for one picture.
Is it a picture that you think could be used?
Or is it a home that you think could be?
A building we could use.
Is it a building that could be used in the guidelines?
Can I,
For the fence, for the this?
the picture that you have on page 33 is a better picture for looking, if you're looking at the built environment, the picture on 33 is better, unless you know this street, which I do. I agree with Mary Ann. What's it supposed to tell us? But if you look on page 33, you can see why Jake picked out, or whoever did picked out this picture.
Okay.
You know.
Okay, so now I guess this is, Victoria, it's running a little counter to what we just talked about previously, but it sounds like the steering committee now wants to, rather than go through the catalog, go through the guidelines.
I think that's much better, because that's what we're dealing with. Some of these things are not.
I'm really worried we won't get through it today if we don't just get an overview with the commentary that staff requested of like what we like or don't like about the building, and you leave it up to another time to determine how it's used.
Okay.
We can also do the quick yes, no poll, just going into the pictures. Instead of debating what, just say, does it work for the staff? Yes, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna try, Victoria, please, let's give it a shot. I think the majority's ruling here. We're gonna go through the guidelines, but we're gonna try to quickly and succinctly do the roll call vote. So we're gonna go the first page of enhance.
Just a second.
Melanie said just a second. Ready?
Organized.
Set.
Go.
Go. Okay, first page of enhance, it's the highlighted one. It says enhance, restore. So the very first picture at the top of the page, is this I'm gonna go around the steering committee. Mary Ann, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Don, yes or no?
Yes, it's page 2, not page 1 we're talking about.
Thank you. Melanie?
Yes.
Okay. Victoria?
Yes.
Okay.
What was that?
Okay, second picture on the page. Mary Ann?
Yes.
Don?
Yes,
Melanie?
Yes.
Victoria?
I think it's a yeah. It's a maybe because I can't see the building entirely, so it's a maybe.
Okay, maybe.
I'm gonna put 1 half.
Okay, page 3, top of the page, there's a picture. Mary Ann?
Okay, we can't find a better one.
So we'll call that a maybe. Don?
No, and let me explain. This is a classic picture. It illustrates Lawrence Halpern's point that the automobile is the
Right.
most disruptive element in the landscape.
Yes.
We shouldn't be showing this for Carmel.
Okay, Don,
Absolutely.
but remember,
We're doing professional pictures that will not have
Yeah.
trash cans or cars in it. This is just.
Well, but
focusing
still,
I want to make sure we don't use this one.
yeah, so Don, I'm gonna say it again,
We're
listen,
not-
listen please. So let's focus on the quality of the
The-
structure, not the quality of the picture.
Picture.
So we will get the correct picture, but the structures in this picture
The content is
and the
overall.
content is what we're looking
Yeah.
for, yeah.
The content of it.
Yep.
Also, I'm sorry to
For
add an
upper
aside.
canopy, for upper
Yeah.
canopy.
I know. I find any place 2 houses are used in this thing, it muddies it terribly.
So you're still a no.
Better picture.
Yes.
So
Okay.
one maybe, one no.
Melanie?
Absolutely no.
Nope. Victoria?
No.
Okay, great. Page 4, we've got, this is representing 1.1.8. Plan access and site development to protect trees during construction is provided in land use code. Do not alter the grade level nor excavate into the root zone or drip line of any healthy mature tree, whether on or adjacent to the site, including on abutting properties and in the right of way. See above image. Yes or no? Mary Ann?
Yes, if the garage gets cropped out.
Okay. Dawn?
Yes.
Melanie?
No.
Victoria?
I'm leaning no to maybe.
I'm gonna give you a maybe.
Okay.
Okay, page 5, guideline 1.2.2, remove any excess existing paving and other non-conforming and easily displaced materials such as gravel. Never keep in right-of-way irrigation equipment or unpermitted paving, gravel, boulders, logs, timbers, planters, fences, retaining walls, other above-ground encroachments, or any hardscape that would widen the street or create parking space. I'm gonna change it up. Melanie, yes or no?
I don't know, I just have a hard time with it. I mean,
Maybe.
maybe it's just the angle, maybe, I don't know. I love the house and I love, everything about it, but it just,
So that's a yes.
That's a yes to a reshoot then.
huh?
If we use this, but we reshoot it in a way that's a better picture.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
They say-
Yeah, we've got.
Yep, so it's, the structure itself is a yes.
Oh, yeah.
Dawn?
Yes.
Mary Ann?
Yes, but it needs to show the road on the left side and we need to Photoshop out the irrigation.
Yeah.
If you can get
Yeah.
these little caveats.
It's-
Yeah, are
Yeah.
you getting the yes no's?
I'm getting yes, no,
Oh,
you do
yeah.
the cat, okay,
Oh,
thanks. Thanks,
thank
buddy. And then Victoria?
It's a yes.
Okay. Page 6, we are cruising. 1.2.3, maintain the existing character of street gutters, which is typically a rolled asphalt curb or more formally is a channel faced with large native rock, but is never just plain concrete. Dawn?
Is that not concrete?
No, it's a road.
Just do you
It's
like
rolled
the
asphalt.
house?
Asphalt.
Well, yes.
That's a yes, okay. Mary Ann?
Yes,
Melanie?
Yes,
And Victoria?
Yes, I like the house.
Great. 1.2.4, to create connectivity with adjacent properties, leave the right-of-way as an unpaved natural forest floor with an informal edge consisting of trees, naturally occurring vegetation, organic surfaces such as pine needles. Mary Ann?
yes,
Dawn?
Yes.
Melanie?
yes.
Victoria?
Yes, I like the house. I want to know when this house was built. Kind of recently, yeah?
I think so.
Yeah, it's more recent.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Moving on.
Page 7.
We don't have to repeat ourselves, so we already have the vote on this one. Remember?
3 yes, 1 maybe.
Thank you, Victoria, for that.
different.
Well, it is a different, it's a different point though.
different
Okay,
issue.
actually, yeah, because the
Issue.
exercise we're doing now is relative to the caption, so.
Well, I'm not doing that exercise. Just so you know, I have no idea whether I think that's the appropriate building for that caption until Jake gives me the caption.
So this is it.
I'm not doing that caption thing, just so you know. I'm just saying if I like the building or not.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna read the caption anyway,
Yeah,
because
we
that's,
do.
these guys want to hear it.
Okay.
When adding plantings to the right-of-way, use only naturally occurring natives to the Carmel forest, drought-tolerant, non-irrigated, green foliage, ground covers, or low shrubs informally arranged. Do not use bedding, plants, and exotic species in the public right-of-way. Mary Ann?
Yes, and we don't need any additional caption, I think.
Okay, Dawn?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes,
And Victoria? You were maybe.
I'm still a maybe. Well, the reason I'll just to help with the guidance is I suspect I'm seeing in that corner on the right-hand corner a change in materials that I'm not going to like when I see the whole house. But if you maintain this view, maybe it's perfect for this. So that's why I'm a maybe. We'll see.
Okay, good. Page 8. Do not wall off properties at the front property line, but instead extend the forest character of the right-of-way into the visible parts of the site by keeping a large portion of each site as open space, with plantings located to filter views of structures. Find maximum limits for hardscape site coverage in the Carmel Municipal Code. So the picture only for now, Mary Ann,
Yes,
Dawn,
Yes.
Melanie,
I just want to make a comment. How is this extending the forest, you guys? There's no forest here.
well, this
You know,
is
I mean-
natural.
forest character.
Well, forest character, these aren't all of these are native plants.
Large portion of each has open space with plantings located to filter views of structures.
Well, no, I'm not voting for it.
Okay. Dawn
Yes.
and Victoria.
But I would like to know Melanie's view on this building, though. This is why I don't like this exercise exactly this way. I think she's right that doesn't belong illustrating this point. But Melanie, if this was used for something else that you liked, do you like the house?
Yeah.
Or is it a maybe?
If it had a
It's a yes.
forested foreground, if it had a forested foreground,
Well,
there's no
this house will
forested-
never have a forested
No, it's
foreground.
on the beach. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
No. It can. She's saying she likes the house and she can imagine it being used in some other place in the document.
But
And we need 85 houses, so I think that's a yes for Melanie, but not here.
Victoria, we're not doing houses right now. We're doing whether the caption fits the picture. That's our exercise right now. Okay?
No, that's not the exercise, because we need to give them guidance on whether we are going to throw out some photographs or not. So we have to at least do that part in this exercise. Otherwise, it makes no sense. They have no way to know how to get the next round of photographs.
Yeah, we
So,
just did. Dawn and I.
If we want to do a double vote, that's fine. I think that for me, this is a yes, we should definitely use this house, but it's a maybe or a no when it comes to whether it should be illustrating the continuation of the forest floor.
Okay, so then we have your opinion on it. We are only doing what you said second right now. Dawn and I had a yes, Melanie had a no, you had a maybe. And we're not talking about the houses right now. So that's.
But Melanie said she's okay with the house if in some other place, right?
No, I mean, I'm looking at the text, I'm looking at the picture. And
Right, that's
I
okay.
do not think that the picture goes with what the
Okay.
statement is.
Okay, good, it's a no, we got it.
Let's just do both at the same time, please, because I don't want to come back here. I've got a lot going on in my life, as you guys do too, and I don't want to do this twice. So now that I understand that you guys are not doing what I thought we were doing, then can we please just take 2 votes as we go?
Yeah.
I'm a yes
fine.
for this building. I'm a yes for this building and a no for the context.
So we're gonna do a caption vote. Hold on a second. We're gonna do a caption vote, or we're gonna do just overall. Do you think this picture can work somewhere in the guidelines?
Right.
Okay, so we're gonna.
And Melanie agrees with me too. She wants yes for somewhere else and no
we'll let
for this
Melanie do her
spot.
vote. So the question is now, overall, can this picture work somewhere in the guidelines? Mary Ann?
Yes.
Okay, Dawn?
Yes.
Melanie?
I can't conceive,
Well,
I'm like Victoria. I want to see, if you're going to give me this picture, I want to see
Well,
what you all think.
We're doing
it
this
works.
vote because.
So it's a
because
maybe
Victoria-
then.
Because Victoria also doesn't want to only do the captions,
We're
so.
only doing this for Victoria, the second vote, so just, can you?
You're going to have to indulge me.
Yeah.
So it's a maybe. It's a maybe.
Just use your imagination, separate yourself from the captions. Basically ask yourself the question, do you like or not like this house?
No, I don't particularly like
Okay.
it, but it's okay.
Okay,
You
well,
know?
It's okay to be in the guidelines is the question. You like it for the guidelines, just not here. Is that your stance, you think, Melanie?
Okay, until I see what other.
yeah, you can excise it later. We're not printing it
That's
tonight.
a-
Okay.
That's a maybe.
Okay.
Yeah,
Don, yes or no?
Let's
for
define that
overall-
as a maybe.
Overall in the guidelines, Don.
I don't know what to decide on that. Yes.
I just,
It's a yes,
it's,
because he wants it there, so that's definitely a yes.
Okay.
Yeah, make sure that you guys are speaking up with any kind of changes you want also, cropping or anything like that. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, what do you guys think about this thing here?
I think the graphic should be eliminated. I think the photo does the job. You don't need
Yeah, I don't know why
Yeah.
why this is here.
Okay, so do we keep or eliminate the graphic on this one, Mary Ann?
Eliminate the graphic.
Okay, Melanie,
Eliminate.
Don,
Unnecessary, no.
okay, Victoria,
I think it might be useful I'm okay with eliminating it here, so in a context standpoint, I'm a no, we don't need it, but I'm a maybe in terms of it gets used for something somewhere.
I'm going to, the diagram illustrates the caption better than the photograph.
okay.
So what do we have for?
So now we're on to,
Do we have 4, Brandon? 4 to eliminate? What do
Yeah.
we have?
yep. Okay, so now we're on to section 2, subordinate. Top of the page, this picture, we're gonna do first vote, which is, does it meet the caption that's at the top of the page, Mary Ann?
Yes.
Melanie?
Okay.
Yes, no, maybe.
Huh? No, it's okay.
Okay. Don?
Yes.
Okay, Victoria?
Yes, and yes, we should of course therefore use it in the guidelines. So everybody's a yes on both categories.
Okay. So we'll skip that vote because everyone was a yes. Second picture on the page, we've seen this picture already, and so we have a vote for this one.
Well, this is a different angle.
Is a different
Yeah,
angle.
this is the better angle,
Yeah.
isn't it,
Okay.
Victoria? I mean, Mary Ann, because
Okay.
look at, we can see the street.
Okay, we'll skip that one because we have the votes on that one already.
No, we said we wanted something with a better angle. This is a better angle than what we had before. The green and greenhouse.
It's for this one, we agree, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We had four yeses on it before,
Yeah.
so I think we're 4 yeses. Okay,
We have lots of yeses on these two also. We don't know what people think about the context. I'm a no that it nestles the building. There's no way it does that. So, but yes for both the buildings to be included.
okay, let me just run through each of the votes because that'll help us tabulate, if you don't mind. So first question is, how do we feel about this picture relative to the caption? Mary Ann?
Which picture are we on?
Oh, I'm sorry, we're on page 11 now.
Yes.
Mary Ann's a yes. Melanie?
Are we talking about this one here?
We are on page 11.
It's on this one.
Yeah.
the next.
Does this show buildings nestled in the trees?
I think it's page 11.
Page 11.
Okay. What do I have, 26? Oh, shoot, you guys.
Your page.
Let me just,
It's this
this
one.
one. What about this one? Nestle?
Doesn't
No,
nestle.
I don't
Yeah.
disagree.
Okay, Melanie's a no. Don?
Yes, but we need a better picture.
Yeah.
And Photoshop away the stone in front of this one and the trash cans.
So-
Well, then it's a case of the two houses.
So it's a yes. Okay, Don, or Victoria? For the caption only.
Yeah, no, it's a no. This does not show nestled buildings.
No on the caption. Okay, overall picture being used in the guidelines.
We've already all said yes to both these buildings.
Okay. Page 12. For the guideline 2.1.3, reducing perceptible building height. I'm just gonna paraphrase. So, how do we feel about, so we're gonna start with caption. Does this picture relate to the caption? Yes or no,
Are we
Melanie?
on 12?
We're on page 12.
Yes,
Reducing perceptible building height by lowering some floor either fully or partially below grade or at a
yeah,
garden level.
yeah, no, this is good.
Okay, Mary Ann?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes.
Victoria?
Yes, brilliant choice, whoever made that choice.
Okay. And then overall, I guess we're all yeses because.
We're all yeses.
Okay, we're gonna skip the diagram. We're gonna go on to page 13.
Huh?
Changes we want for this? Zoomed out, different angle?
Let's, please, God, let's not try to.
Sorry, you're right.
No. Page 13. We're gonna skip the diagrams. Page 14, 2.2.4, avoid abrupt changes in grade within a site and between adjoining properties. When such transitions are unavoidable, use slope planted areas. Do we think that this picture represents that guideline?
It's more the second sentence, that if the slope.
If a stable planted slope cannot be created, then use multiple landscape terraces rather than a single tall wall.
I don't think that's a good example.
Okay, Melanie says no. Victoria?
No,
Mary Ann?
No.
Dawn?
No.
Okay, so then that actually, this is a good point to ask this question. Would you want to see this house, this structure, somewhere else in the guidelines?
No.
Mary Ann?
No.
Okay, Dawn?
No.
no.
I don't wanna put it in.
You guys are just saying your votes without me calling your name. Don't you know how a roll call vote works? Give me a second, people. All right, y'all hate it so much, you just had to like get it out there.
Yeah, we got it fire in our belly.
Would you stop fussing?
I will. Thank you for checking me, Melanie. I appreciate that. It's very nice of you. I'm trying to herd cats around here. Jeez Louise. Okay, subordinate parking
Listen, after 4 years, you should know the
I
drill.
love you so much.
Or,
2.3, subordinate parking facilities to the house and site. How do we feel about this one as a caption picture, Mary Ann?
It's a perfect picture, but it's such a bad house. Can we find a better one?
So no?
It really demonstrates the point, so for that, it is.
So for the caption,
picture,
yes.
yeah.
And-
But if we could find a better house to demonstrate the caption, that would be great.
Okay, you take that note, will you please?
Yes, also this is a two caption
But,
picture.
Mary Ann, if the first thing you see when you look at this picture, at least with me, even if I didn't ever see this, the first thing it hits me is the garage. It's not the house, it's the
well
garage.
said.
And I don't know, to me, it's just not the
What I'm saying
subordination.
is, for example, when you look at, what is this, like this does not subordinate, okay?
Oh,
This
yeah,
is
no,
really
that's
bad,
ghastly.
Okay, so this is just integrated better,
Yes, it is.
right?
Yeah, it
So
is.
that's what it
Yes.
says, you should integrate it.
Right.
So I'm saying it is a better, it actually integrates, the garage is integrated into
Yeah.
the
Yep,
structure.
and 2.3.1.
It's just not a very good house.
So 2.3.1 is also a caption for this picture. It talks about the garage being subsuming them into the building design, tucking them underneath,
Okay.
located and
Yes, but
partially
it
below grade.
says concealing them from the street is the first thing, minimize impact of garage or carport.
Okay, so you're a no.
Concealing
I'm gonna read
them
between
from
the
the
lines.
street.
I think Melanie's a no,
I
is
think
what I'm
Melanie's
getting.
a no.
Yeah.
I'm no mind reader, but I think Melanie's a no.
I
Okay.
think so.
John, what are you at, my friend?
Lukewarm, yes.
Lukewarm, yes. Okay, I only have yeses, nos, and maybes. Victoria?
It's a double no. Get it out.
Okay. So then overall
Did you say
Victoria's a
yes?
no.
Did you say yes?
I said yes to
Okay,
the
Mary Ann
point.
says yes.
It's a bad house, I won't say yes to that.
Okay, 15, 12, 13, 14. On to page 15, top of the page. This one with respect to the caption, so let's just do caption. I know we've seen this picture already and I know the answer for the second question, but the caption picture is using parking facilities to maintain or enhance variety along the street edge and to maximize landscape open space views and privacy. If detached one-car garage or carport benefits the overall streetscape, the city may determine that it can encroach into the front setback. City does not allow two-car garages in the front setback. So how do we feel about this
Another two caption one.
okay. The second caption says, maintain forest continuity, establish vegetation, ample front yard space, keep driveways at grade and without cuts and fills that would create a ramp effect or require retaining walls perpendicular to the street. So for a caption picture, how do we feel about this one on top of page 15? Marianne?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yeah.
Melanie?
Yeah.
And Victoria?
It's a no. I think it's actually showing retaining walls perpendicular to the street. So it's a no.
Well,
It steps down.
It's
to
a- it-
protect
but
the-
it- see,
this
it's a-
is
it's a
to
step
protect the
down.
trees, the tree roots.
Victoria, it's a step down, because of the topography, and also it preserves all of those pines. It's a gorgeous piece of property.
Okay.
the
The
way
gorgeous
she's-
property that we've already
But you can say
approved for
no.
That's
another
her vote,
location.
yeah.
Victoria.
That's
I'm
her
saying
vote.
no.
It's her vote. Okay, page 16, top of the page, we've got this house, which is now green, actually. 2.4, design all paved areas to be small, informal, and intimate. See the above picture. So for the caption, what do we think, Marianne?
Yes, but has the paving not changed?
The
Painting, it's green now.
No,
Oh, the paving.
This is
Oh.
about paving.
I think it's pretty similar.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I walked by that.
Because there's
the
some
photo
so
because of
many
the shop
ugly
industry.
new.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
It's because we don't get to see materials, so we can say what
But this
works
one
and
is
doesn't.
great. So-
Yeah, okay. Well, let's focus on this picture. We'll change it. Right. So for the caption, Marianne is a yes. Melanie? For the caption.
So Marianne is saying that the paved areas are small, informal, and intimate?
Yes.
Is that what she's saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Melanie?
yeah,
Dawn?
Reluctant, yes.
yeah, me too.
Okay. I mean, we have a maybe category, so if you guys want to be maybes, that's fine too.
Yeah,
Would you prefer to be a maybe?
yeah.
I'm not going to force you into a yes. I got
Oh,
you.
yeah?
Yes, 2 maybes and a Victoria?
And I'm a no for that particular illustration. It's a great house, so I'm a yes for that.
Okay, so overall, Victoria is a yes. So this is, would you like to see this house somewhere else in the guidelines? Victoria is a yes. Melanie?
Oh, I've seen it so many times already that we've been doing this, and I'm sick of it.
I think this is the first time we've seen it so far.
No, but
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, I've
back.
read over all this stuff, and what I'm saying is if I see it once more, I know the house really well.
But would you like to see it somewhere in the guidelines at least once?
Okay.
Okay. Dawn?
No.
No? I didn't hear you, Dawn, sorry. Yes or no? Somewhere in the guidelines?
No.
Okay. Marianne?
Yes,
Okay.
I don't mean to derail us,
Jake?
yeah.
but this is the updated paint with the updated pavers. So you can see the pavers still look
Yeah, pavers are
good.
roughly the same. Yeah.
It's basically the same pavers for the driveway.
Yeah.
But I don't
I
like.
can't-
Here, keep that. I suggest we stick
Oh,
with
yeah,
this
that's
color.
been-
I like this colorway more, and the pavers are similar enough that I don't think it'd be disingenuous to stick with this and not go to the new colorway. But I don't care either way.
Oh,
Well,
I also want to point out that 2.4.1 is actually that this picture violates the subpoint under 2.4. So, and here's another thought. I mean, I know we're striving, I know my vote doesn't count more than anyone else's, and I'm not trying to say it does, but I think in general, if we can come to a 4 yes vote, then that's, just as a note to the staff, that's better than a 3-1.
Understood. Yeah. If we have
Okay.
if we have a choice between a 3-1 picture
Exactly.
and a 4-4 picture, we're gonna pick the 4-4 picture.
Okay, good. That's all I meant.
Yep. And for me, what I'm going to use is the 4-4. The 4 votes are going to be instructive for us when we go find other pictures, because they sort of have a flavor to them.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Page 17. We already know the vote on this one, but we've got a caption, so we'll just do the caption vote for this one. On top of page 17, select paving with muted colors and textures authentic to the material, such as Carmel stone, granite. So this is about the paving, is an authentic color material. On the caption, Marianne, yes or no?
No.
Okay, no. Melanie?
I can't find my 17.
Here, let's do this one.
Don't cry.
No.
It's okay, it's okay. This is why we print
This is-
multiple copies. Here you go, start over on this one,
Okay.
just for following along.
Okay.
Page 17, keep it Keep it clipped though, if you would, please.
Yes, I will.
Thank you. Page 17, top of the page. Caption, Marianne said no. Dawn?
What is it for?
Yes, on the caption.
Victoria?
I'm afraid that, I guess it's a maybe. I can't see the paving enough to know if it's authentic to the material, et cetera.
Okay.
So it could be, we'll see.
Okay. Melanie?
If I'm gonna qualify, Jake, I think we are just much better ones. It's not that this is
Yeah.
so bad, I just think they're much better.
Yeah.
Really lovely driveways that are planted in between.
What do you think,
Yeah,
Melanie?
I think a better example.
So this is a no. We'll just call it a no.
Huh?
It's a no.
Yeah.
Good now,
Okay.
Yeah.
center.
So we're 4 no's?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah, well, three no's and a yes.
And a maybe.
Or three
Oh.
no's
Not a
and a
maybe.
maybe. Yeah. Okay, so 2.5, blend private landscape with that of the public right-of-way to make vegetated spaces appear larger and improve continuity with the forest. This is the one we've seen already, just for the caption.
2.5.1 also.
And 2.5.1, design without a fence or wall along the street frontage. So Melanie, what do you think about this one for the caption?
Well, if it didn't say to improve the continuity with the forest, but I mean, how are we seeing any continuity because there wasn't any forest in there
Okay.
in the beginning?
So you're a no,
Yeah.
okay? Marianne?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes,
Victoria?
That's a tough one. Yes, it doesn't have a fence,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. I guess it's a maybe for me.
Okay, thank you. Page 18, guideline 2.5.2, where privacy or enclosure is needed, use shrubs, hedges, or other vegetation. For this caption, Marianne,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yeah.
Dawn,
yeah.
Victoria,
Yes, with a side note that the shrubs are formally clipped. So I wish there was a better example. So I think it's a maybe. I guess I have to switch it to a maybe.
okay, no problem. And then how about just this house overall? So let's go back through. Overall, would you like to see this house appear somewhere in the design guidelines? Victoria?
Yes, well proportioned.
Okay, Dawn,
Yes,
Melanie,
Yeah.
Marianne?
Maybe.
Maybe, okay. 2.5.3, if vegetation does not provide sufficient safe enclosure along the street for children, pets, or others, install an informal, unfinished wood fence which preserves visual access, blah, blah, blah. How do we feel about this picture for the caption? Marianne?
Yes.
Is a yes. Dawn?
yes,
Melanie?
Yeah.
Victoria?
Yes.
Okay, and then overall, I guess that's 4 yeses. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Really picking up steam now. This is great. Page 19, 2.5.4, when creating an arbor.
But did we, oh no, sorry. Keep going. Sorry to
Maintain
interrupt.
a narrow, low light and open design instead of a tall, wide structure with massive timbers. For this caption, Marianne, what do we think? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Dawn?
yes,
Melanie?
Yep.
Victoria?
I'm a no. I don't think we can use a painted example. I'm afraid.
There's nothing in here that says anything about paint.
No, I'm saying we need a better example because later in the guidelines, we discourage, we want our fences to start off as natural, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right. You're right. Okay. Change my vote then, just because it's painted.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
Marianne,
Yeah.
your vote change at all, Marianne? No? Dawn? You're still good?
I'm all for that too.
Okay.
What, keeping it paint,
Yes, get rid of the paint.
yeah, okay.
Okay, Dawn said no.
Okay, so we have 3 no's
3 no's
for
and
a,
yes.
for,
Three.
yeah. But yes to the building.
Yeah, but we,
Yeah, but we're focused
yeah,
on
but we
the
cannot
But
be,
yeah. Okay, so overall though, I guess then,
Okay.
do we want to see this house show up in the design guidelines? Marianne?
Yes.
Okay, Dawn?
Yes,
Okay. Melanie?
yeah.
And Victoria?
Yes, without the fence showing.
Okay. 2.5.5, we use this one a lot. In rare cases where a fence is needed but the predominant building material is stone, masonry, or stucco, a low garden wall of the same material and construction may fit, this one doesn't really fit, into the topography and other hardscape and I'm just gonna short circuit this one and say no, because this is, I think, the wrong picture for this, so we're
Yeah.
gonna
That's right.
skip that one. 2.5.6, place front yard enclosures such as hedges, fences, or walls farther back from the front property line as to become more solid. Refer to maximum building envelope information to determine allowable heights and placements.
Didn't we reject this for the thing? Yeah, we all said we didn't want this building in the thing at all.
Yeah.
Didn't we?
We said we didn't like the fall
Yeah.
front.
Yeah, we said we didn't like the cars.
Well, can't we get a better picture than this, for God's sake?
Yep. We can get
I
better
mean,
pictures. That was the
let's-
starting premise.
Maybe
on this
I
project.
missed, did I mishear the group? I thought all of us said
No,
we didn't want this building in
we had a maybe
the.
and 3 no's, so I
Yeah.
think, okay,
Let's
No,
try
no,
for something
no.
else,
Okay.
can we?
we'll get something else on that one.
Okay,
19,
so-
20, we're on to section 3, fit every built structure within its neighborhood context. We're gonna do the top picture. Does that content, does that work for you guys? Does it fit every built structure with the neighborhood context? The first picture, Mary Ann?
Yes.
Don?
Yes, maybe.
Yes, maybe. Okay. Melanie?
No, I don't see how.
You don't believe that fits within the neighborhood context?
No, because I don't know what else is going on there. I mean, we're just seeing.
Oh, that's a maybe.
pictures.
That's a maybe.
We're just seeing 2 pictures. I mean, two edifices. That's not the neighborhood. Then it looks like the next one has a very steep roof.
Okay, stay on the first picture.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying in the row, you're asking about context.
Oh, okay, you said the
In the
next picture.
context, no, dear. Here, see, this is
Okay.
a very steep roof. I don't see how this fits any kind of context.
Okay, so you're a no.
No.
Okay, Victoria?
I think I'm a yes because, but I think to Melanie's point, it's hard to actually know without seeing more of the context.
Right.
But I don't know this. I don't know these structures actually, so I'm encouraged that it could be a yes.
I don't know. So
Yeah,
what
getting-
are you, Victoria?
Yeah, a whole neighborhood's gonna be hard to photograph, but, okay.
It's very hard.
Well, if you just stand down and,
That's what I did here.
Yeah.
It's hard to get that angle, but I think if I go across this,
Well, then,
if we like stage
let's look
across
for
this
another
window to
picture.
do- Yeah,
Okay.
no, I'm saying, I think with some angles, we can get a couple more houses in there, and maybe get some more context.
Yeah,
That's hard.
yeah, you can use topography to do it, okay. Okay, so then the second picture, fit every built structure with this neighborhood context. I mean, we like this house, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna presume that you guys, this is not a good neighborhood context picture, right?
It's the same problem,
Yeah.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah.
Okay, but
I mean, the concept,
But overall,
This is good,
do you want
but-
to see this house in the design guidelines, Melanie?
yes.
Okay, Mary Ann?
Yes.
Okay, Dawn?
Yes.
Victoria?
Yes, we already voted yes, so we're good on that one.
Oh, did
But
we?
yeah, maybe on the context.
Which actually, the first one shows the neighborhood context better. I don't know if you guys want.
No, it's fine. Page 22, 3.1, locate open spaces so they visually link with those of adjacent properties. Just from the caption, do we think that this picture meets the caption? Mary Ann?
Yes.
Dawn?
I can't hear Marianne's vote there.
Mary Ann said
I think
yes.
it's unfortunate that links, you don't want them linking.
So do you believe, Dawn, yes or no, that it visually links with those of
Okay.
adjacent properties?
Reluctant, yes.
Okay. Melanie?
No.
Okay. Victoria?
No.
Okay. And we've already asked the question about overall on this one.
Yep.
Okay. On to page 23. On oversized or combined properties, maintain the open space character of Carmel's typical 4,000 square foot lot sizes, avoiding the appearance of compound or estate. See above image. How do we think about this one for the caption, Mary Ann?
Is this a wider lot than?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit bigger, yeah.
It's a double lot.
So maybe,
Okay,
yeah, it's an 8,000 square foot lot.
yes, that's good.
Okay. Dawn?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yep.
Victoria?
I think it's a maybe for me because I don't understand how you even photograph this. I would say we should not illustrate this point. I think it's impossible to, can't imagine what the parenthetical remark would be here. See how the building, it could have been bigger, but this is a multi-generational home, and actually they put some stuff in the back. I mean,
Excuse me.
we can't illustrate this point.
Are you okay if we keep going? Or do you
Yeah.
want us to wait?
Just not this picture here.
Okay, I think we've resolved that one for sure. Okay.
I'm a no. I'm a no for the caption.
Melanie's taking a quick break, but she said we should keep going.
Okay.
Okay, I'll take the note on that one, because I see what you're saying. Maybe we don't have a picture for that one at all.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay. 3.1.3, relate a building's mass to the context of other homes nearby. Divide a larger building into forms similar in scale to traditional village houses. How do we feel about this one from the caption perspective? I think we're pretty hard no on this picture altogether, right? We've seen this one already.
I thought so.
Yeah, okay. Marianne, do you recall that as well?
No.
You're a no? Yeah, okay. We're just gonna go no's across the board on that one. That was Melanie's parting shot before she walked out, so. On to page 25, 3.1.6, and actually a few of them below. Minimize building masses seen from adjacent properties by avoiding long interrupted wall planes, placing tall building walls away from the property line and similar walls on neighboring sites. And the next guideline is preserve access to light between properties, and the next one is preserve views from nearby properties to natural features. So this picture, from a caption perspective, what do we think, Victoria?
It doesn't do what we're asking it to do, so it's a no.
No. Okay. Marianne?
I feel the opposite. I feel it does what it says it does, but the driveway, would have to either be photoshopped to something different, and it has non-native planes outside,
Okay.
so it avoids big wall planes and everything else, just
Okay.
as the caption says, but we would have to do some photoshopping here if we wanted to keep it.
So we'll do a maybe then for you on that. How about that? Okay. And then Don, how about you?
Yes.
Don's a yes. Okay. Now overall, do we want to see this structure show up somewhere in the guidelines? Marianne?
Yes,
Okay. Don?
Photoshop.
Yes.
Victoria?
I'm okay with that, but with all the things that Marianne just said added in, we cannot show that driveway or those plants.
Yeah. Photoshopped. Got it. Page 26. We've got.
And the reason we can't show the driveway, just so you guys know, in my view, is that looks like a very fake stone attempt. The way they picked that commercial palette for those fake pavers. And it's very glaring, so 2 reasons. And then, of course, the native plants that Marianne said.
Thanks. Okay. 3.3.1, screen patios, terraces, and active areas of adjacent properties through the position of buildings and the preservation of significant trees. How do we feel about this caption? Marianne?
That has a patio up front.
Yeah,
It looks like
it does.
Hard to tell. I think it's not by
The other comment on here is locate and size windows and skylights to avoid views in or out of neighboring indoor and outdoor activity use areas. Limit windows to 12 square feet or less on side walls adjacent to neighbors.
I would skip the image on that for something like that, it's too hard.
On 3.3.2,
Yeah, because
yeah.
if it's really well screened, then you don't see the point,
Right.
then you don't see the patio, so. I would
Okay.
What are we
just
doing?
no image
We're on
here.
I'm
page
sorry.
26. It's okay. Page 26.
Yeah?
Guideline 3.3.1. Screen patios, terraces, and active areas of adjacent properties through the position of buildings and the preservation of significant trees. So on the caption alone, Marianne?
No, I would not do an image for that.
Even for 3.3.1.
Yeah,
Okay. Dawn?
If
Do you
it's just the
think-
caption, yes.
Maybe. Okay. Melanie?
I don't know, that's what happens when you leave.
We're just picking right.
We just started this one. We just started
this one.
it.
Yep, you have as much information as everybody else.
So
So the caption is 3.3.1.
Yeah.
Marianne
The screen.
has suggested that maybe this guideline doesn't even need a picture. And that could
Well,
be,
that's possible,
that
yeah.
could be
I mean,
one position as well.
So have you all decided on the graphic?
We're skipping over the graphics because that's.
Are you gonna keep it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Good, yeah. Okay.
So, but for the picture, like, what do you think about Mary Ann's comment of maybe 3.3.1 and 3.3.2 don't even need a picture?
That's a good point.
Okay. Dawn, what do you think about that?
Same thing.
Victoria?
I think this one actually shows neighbors looking at the other property with their 3 windows there in the back.
That's
So
what I have down here too.
so it's a no. But I just want to record that I really do like this house and the way it's nestled in the landscape. So I want to keep it it's fine to keep it in the document, but I don't think we need an illustration here. So that's kind of 3 votes. We don't need to have an illustration at all. A, B, this one is not correct for the caption, and C, let's keep the house in the mix.
Okay, so I'm gonna, thank you for that, so I recorded, so I'm gonna run everybody through the overall question. So, would you like to see this house overall somewhere in the design guidelines, Mary Ann?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yeah.
Don?
Yes.
And Victoria was a yes, okay.
But we don't need the picture.
We're gonna remove pictures for both guidelines, 3.3.1 and 3.3.2. Page 27. Guideline 3.5. Vary the design of a new building from that of nearby and abutting properties. So on the caption alone, what do we think about this one, Mary Ann?
Yes.
Don?
I'm sorry, what are we voting on?
Yeah.
Guideline 3.5, vary the design of a new building, we're on page 27. 3.5, vary the design of a new building from that of nearby and abutting properties. Does this picture represent that caption, yes or no? Okay, Melanie?
When I find it.
Page
27.
Page 27.
I mean, I think the idea is okay, it's just this picture's not,
So no, so you're a no then. Victoria?
No, I think she's saying, just so we're clear, I think she's saying that the buildings are okay, but she wants a new photograph, which we are going to get.
That's the vote we're taking right now. Is this picture good for this caption or not? Yes or no?
No.
So Melanie just said no. Victoria?
Okay, I'm sorry, I have to rephrase. This is the absolute perfect shot for the point that we're making. Good choice, but of course it needs to be reshot. That photograph is terrible.
Melanie, are you saying that you like this picture, but it needs to be reshot? Or you like these structures, but the picture needs to be reshot? Or you don't think this is the right picture at all for this?
Well, if we're talking in this document about, the forest and, so on and so forth, I mean, this huge void right here where it's just so stark. I mean, I can't go with that.
So look at,
but you could zoom in, and you'd never see those lines in the sky.
Yep.
You just see the 2 buildings.
I'm talking about the 2 driveways right together, all that open space, it's gravel or whatever.
So this is, I think this is her vote, Victoria. What's your vote?
Okay, I get it.
What's your
my vote is a yes. That's a good design variation.
Okay. And then we've already answered the question on the overall.
And then what about you two? Did you?
We got their votes already.
Oh.
Yep. Guideline 3.5.2 at the bottom of page 27. Actually this is zoomed in a little bit on that house we were talking about earlier. When using painted or otherwise coated surfaces, provide a variety in building color along a block. So you can see you've got a white-ish house next to a wood house.
2 wood houses.
It's not painted,
So for the caption, how do we feel about this picture? Mary Ann?
No.
No? Melanie?
No.
Don?
No.
Victoria?
No, because there's not coated surfaces on the sides houses. So yeah, It's a no. It's not the correct.
Okay. And overall, we already know about this one.
Yeah, we all liked it.
Okay. Oh God. Okay. Section 4, retain and build upon Carmel's established architectural heritage. So we're going to go through these quick. So top left of the Brady Bunch photo spread here. Top left, does this picture retain and build upon Carmel's established architectural heritage? Mary Ann?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yeah.
Dawn?
Yes.
Victoria?
Yes.
Okay, overall, I think we voted on this one already. Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna go down the left-hand column, please. So caption for this one, this sort of like Tudor style one, caption, yes or no, Victoria?
Oh my God, I don't want to go first on this one. Can I seriously have to think for a second.
Okay. Marianne?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yeah.
Dawn?
Yes.
Victoria?
Okay,
Yes, no, maybe.
yes.
Okay.
Move on.
I don't know what okay means. I have to
Means
record a
yes.
vote. I don't know what it means, actually.
Yes, it does.
Overall, we have not talked about
Okay,
this.
it's okay. I'm putting myself as a maybe just to reflect my emotions
Okay.
better.
Overall, would you like to see this house show up in the design guidelines somewhere? We've got 3 yeses. So is your maybe though, Victoria, I can count that as a yes for overall?
No, I think it's a maybe for both.
Okay. We're gonna continue down the left-hand column. So for a caption on this one in the bottom left-hand corner, Marianne,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yeah.
Dawn,
Yes.
Victoria.
Yes.
Okay, and overall it's 4 yeses.
Yes.
Top right-hand corner for the caption, Marianne,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yeah.
Victoria.
Yes.
Okay, that's 4 yeses. Next one down in the right-hand column in the middle for the caption to build upon Carmel's architectural history, Melanie. Architectural history.
I just have to say maybe.
Okay, Marianne,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Victoria.
Yes.
And overall, we already know the answer on this one. And then bottom right-hand corner of the photo cube, here we've got the caption, Marianne,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yeah.
Victoria.
Yes, you got to cut out the foreground though, since it's not natural in any way. But yes,
Okay,
the building, yes.
But we can
4
deal
yeses
with that.
again. Okay, 27, 28, page 29. Guideline 4.2, continue Carmel's tradition of architectural, oh, that's, sorry, wrong one.
If you look at 4.1, this is where I had the more descriptive caption. See section 4 title images, so 4.1, so those ones all refer up.
Okay, okay.
So just as a heads up.
Okay. Section 4.2.1 on page 29, to avoid uniformity in the appearance of speculative development and to promote individual artistic expression, differentiate a new building's plan, massing, and overall design from that of nearby and abutting buildings. So from a caption perspective, how do we feel about this one?
But we'd already said this one's not allowed in the document at all, right?
Yes.
Yep,
Yeah.
okay, so we're gonna skip over this one, we'll
Yeah.
find a new picture to represent that. Good call. 4.2.4 on page 30, do not use design.
All of those.
Okay, so every guideline on this page is referencing this picture, and they're all about not using McMansions, using traditional natural building materials, using preferred materials traditionally used in Carmel, such as wood, stone,
We
and
just need a
tile.
better picture that we can,
Okay, but for this structure though, for the caption, do you think this structure can accomplish all of these
where are
5 guidelines? We're on page 30.
Oh, I didn't know we flipped. Okay.
Do we, for the
I thought we were
caption?
still in the back.
That's okay. For this caption, do we think that this structure can accomplish this, Marianne?
Yes.
Okay, Dawn,
Yes.
Yeah.
Melanie, yes.
Mhm.
Victoria?
I think it's a maybe. I think you have to put it as a caption. If you wanted to do all that work or one image to do all that work, it has to be under 4.3, not under a bunch of 3-digit things. So in other words, just if you wanted to basically cover everything below, then it should be use traditional natural building materials. And that's the caption for it.
Yeah, I agree with that,
And-
actually.
Okay, and then, so then I would be a yes. And then we already know everybody loves the building. We need another illustration for McMansion or just none.
I think none.
Okay.
Are you guys, Melanie, Marianne, Dawn, you guys okay not having an illustration for a McMansion? I think
No,
that's
I
pretty
think we should.
self-explanatory. Okay.
Huh?
Okay. All right, page 31. Top of the page, 4.3.4. When adding surface treatments, use matte finishes and muted earth tones rather than highly polished treatments such as mirrored glass or reflective metals.
We already built this house.
I don't know if we killed it all together.
Yeah, we killed it. Yeah, it's dead.
Okay. Okay.
It's dead and buried.
Got it.
Good.
Historic hero.
See you later. 4.3.5. This is the cousin of the other one that we've been looking at. Apply materials using methods traditional to Carmel, for example, wood siding and shingles, horizontal clapboard or board or batten, blah, blah, blah. For this caption, how do we feel about this house? Marianne?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes.
Melanie?
Definitely.
Victoria?
Yes, and I would elevate it. This is one of those buildings that if every picture could be this good, it would be the most gorgeous document. This is one of the best illustrations that I've seen today.
Yeah.
And so it makes me want to elevate this to a higher hierarchy of the category, but it does work here too. So it's a yes plus, yes and.
When you say this is a great photograph, do you mean this is a great, just the structure itself is great, or, because the photo's fuzzy, but you mean like the angle, or do you mean the structure
Yeah,
itself?
just the composition, right?
Okay.
The composition, the setting, the building, everything's gorgeous, except the hose, the garden hose.
Yeah. Okay.
Like everything we've talked about.
Yeah, it's great. And sometimes, a site just isn't going to allow you to take a picture like this, but
In my first run through this, I had this picture
Yeah.
a lot through.
I mean the candidate, I mean the building and its context, not just the photo.
yeah, got
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
This is a, right.
Okay, but it's all yeses all day with this guy. Page 32, guideline 4.4, use manufactured materials according to traditional natural principles.
I don't understand that with this. I don't even understand. Is that siding of some sort?
It's,
Marianne,
it's
help
wood
me.
siding.
Yeah, the whole thing doesn't make any,
Yeah.
first of all, the 4.4 doesn't make any sense to me, and I have no idea what that's supposed
Yeah.
to mean, and the picture.
I think
doesn't
this
make
is
sense.
a difficult one to, I'm going to propose to you all we don't show an image for 4.4. I think it's
Yeah,
just a
I would
guideline.
scrap 4.4.
Okay, well, we can get there when we do text, but I think, are you guys okay with not having an image for 4.4?
Yeah.
I think we should have an image. Sorry, I'm a no on that, but I think we should have an image, but it definitely should not be an image with natural materials. It should be an image with manufactured materials, meaning, like, can we get an image that has board formed concrete, or Marianne's own house that used hardy board or something equivalent, and clearly does that. I think we need to actually show people what we mean by this one, and we have to carefully caption it. Like as shown above with the manufactured hardy plank at the traditional scale.
Could we use, yeah, but what are traditional natural principles? That's what it says here.
Yeah,
I don't know what that means.
I think we need to just revisit this guideline
Maybe
altogether.
we need to,
Let's-
go back and look
Yeah,
at the word.
so I'm gonna put an asterisk next to this one. We're gonna revisit that language, so I think
Yeah.
there's some confusion about it. So page 33, apply.
But just to point out, we do this whole concept, however we write it and edit it, we need to show people what we mean. So we do need a photo somewhere in here. Maybe it's 4.4.4, maybe it's whatever.
Hold on to your seatbelts, because 4.4.5 is basically the exact same guideline, except instead of using them, we're applying them. So it's
Right.
written exactly the same way. So I think there's a little bit of
Yeah.
editing. This might be one that we just didn't catch last time, Victoria, when we were moving stuff around.
Yes. And by the way, this is the building I had in mind as the substitute for the one that was chosen. So this is, I think, very appropriate. That's my vote, not that you asked.
It's not one house, it's two houses.
4.4. Okay. All right,
These are all manufactured,
The roof is.
well,
Yeah.
obviously. But I'm talking about the siding. Is the siding manufactured?
No,
No.
Oh, I guess I jumped to the conclusion. Sorry. I thought it was
It's wood.
concrete for a
No,
second.
it's wood.
Okay. All right, sorry.
This is one of Thomas Hood's projects, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. I take it back. I'm a
At
no.
least this house is.
Yeah. All All right, we'll come back. Let's skip those two, because I think that
Okay.
we messed up on that
Well,
one.
what are
So
we gonna say?
we're gonna go to section 5. We're
I'm
gonna
gonna
say,
say
we're gonna
come
say
back.
staff's just gonna try again on those for you. Section 5, design every built structure with modesty. So the first picture at the top of the page, of the title page, from the caption perspective, how do we feel? Mary Ann? Is this designed
Yes.
with modesty? Do you love all the planters strewn about the front of it?
No, I'm
Okay.
talking only about the
Yeah,
building.
okay, good, thank you. Dawn?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yeah,
Victoria?
Yes.
Okay, and then, so we'll say yes throughout the document, but one of the things Jake and I talked about when we do kind of circle the drain on picking what houses, how much longer do I have you for, 10 minutes?
yeah.
To have a 3:30.
Okay, all right, we'll go as quick as we can. I'm gonna save the editorial. Second photo from a caption perspective, yes or no, Mary Ann?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes, and this one's even better example.
And Victoria?
Yes.
Okay, and then overall, we're all yeses on this one, obviously. Okay. 35, guideline 5.1.1, design a building consistently with the design concept extending to all sides of the building and no mixing of architectural languages. From a caption perspective, Mary Ann?
Maybe.
Okay, Dawn?
Yes.
Melanie?
No, I don't think it's a great example.
You don't think it does a good job
Well,
of...
no, in the sense, I think that we have some really good examples that we looked at some time ago, where we actually were trying to show that you're doing a wraparound. Let me walk back. The biggest problem we've had is that we have a stucco house, a new stucco house, you know, and we have stone plopped around the front door and nowhere else. And so we have constantly said that, you know, you have to integrate your materials. And while this does it, I don't think it's a good example for someone who's just coming into Carmel, because it's not really what we see as a problem.
Okay. So
You know
for
what
this,
I'm saying?
for the caption, you're a no on this one.
I just think there are better examples out there.
Okay. Victoria?
No.
Okay. But overall, would you like to see this house show up in the design guidelines? Mary Ann?
Yes.
Melanie?
No.
Dawn?
Yes.
Victoria?
Maybe. I don't know the house, and this is a terrible view of it. It's too flat and
Yeah.
frontal.
Okay. And then we're gonna go to page 36.
36, you've already marked that. Pictures being killed, sticking with the diagram.
Right, okay, great. Thanks for that.
Can I recommend, since I heard people say they need to leave, that actually this is such a great method that we've fallen on. I actually think we can do this at home if we're allowed to, Brown Act wise, and maybe we can figure out a way to do that, to just give our votes going forward, but keep going.
You can do it all yourself individually, that's fine. And I think Mary Ann's working feverishly right now to try to do it before she leaves.
Okay.
If you guys want, I mean, I'm fine running through the last 20 pages with the rest of you that remain.
Okay.
It's up to you.
No, that's fine. I just think we can get input another way too.
Yeah, Melanie wants to keep going. Okay, so page 36,
Okay.
we're done.
We've already done 36, yeah.
37, use restraint when introducing variation in building planes, using building offsets only for clear purposes such as avoiding tree limbs or expressing a chance of occupational use within. Do not use small purposeless offsets. From a caption perspective, how do we feel that this does, Mary Ann?
I'm gonna give you the,
Okay.
which page are
I'll
we?
skip you. We're on page 37.
Pardon me?
37.
This one, hey.
37,
Right.
yes.
It's a yes. Okay, Dawn?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Victoria?
But
No, I don't think it shows that it's so good for other things. I wouldn't do it for this one,
Okay.
weirdly.
We know that it's a yes throughout the document though somewhere.
Yes, yes.
Okay, page 38, 5.1.7, subdue the character of the garage by using a rectilinear form with materials and colors that do not contrast with the main buildings. From a caption perspective, Melanie?
I just don't think it's a great example for this.
Okay.
I mean, it does it, but it's not, you know, I just don't think it's
That's fine.
great.
Yeah. I think this is a good sort of like gut exercise. I think the more you sit and think about it, the,
You can just read it into the record.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Melanie's a no. Dawn? 5.1.7, you're a no?
Yes.
Okay. Victoria?
Maybe.
Okay. Overall, though, we know we like this house. We've done this one already. Okay. Bye, Marianne. Thank you. 5.2.
Thank you, Marianne.
Ensure that a building appears to be no more than 2 stories in height as viewed from the public right of way. See above image from a caption perspective. Melanie?
Just from the caption perspective,
So while you're thinking about that,
go
let me
ahead.
read the second one. It actually is for 2
Yeah.
guidelines. Present 1-story heights to the street and
no,
locate
that's the one
2-story
I was
elements
thinking about. It doesn't,
away from the street. Okay.
yeah, it doesn't do that, so,
Okay, so you're
you
no.
know.
Don?
Well, I think the caption is correct, yes.
Both, okay. Victoria?
I think it's a yes. I don't think you need to, well, ensure the building appears to be no more than 2 stories in height. I think this is not important to illustrate the first one. Let's see, let me just look down. 5.2, make detached garages 1 story, convey human scale. So 5.2, if we're using it to illustrate that entire section, it means it also has to illustrate make detached garages 1 story, 1 car, and small in scale.
Which this doesn't have.
And so I don't think we can use it for that, but I think it's great for 5.2.1 only.
Yeah. But I don't know.
Okay. So maybe we don't even need an illustration for 5.2, is that what you're saying?
Unless you can find one that has a garage, because it has to go down to, it has to also perform all the way down through the 5.2s.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's okay to try to do that, but this one doesn't do that. And so but it's great for 5.2.1 and not great, but a good building overall.
Okay.
You know, I don't know, to me, this house almost reads 3 stories. I mean, the basement down there has a louver thing. When I look at this thing, it looks to me, you know, I don't see how we ever get a 1 story or, you know, I don't know.
Okay, you're a no on this guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what's everybody else? Brandon?
You got a couple of yeses and a couple
maybe?
of no's.
Oh, and 2
Yeah,
no's,
yeah.
okay.
So I think we take that. I'm going to take that kind of stuff as let's try something different. If I don't
that's
have
good, that's good, good.
Kind of the Victoria's point earlier. Page 39, section 5.2.2, make detached garages 1 story, 1 car, and small in scale with the wall plate height no taller than that of the 1st story plate of the main house. So how do we feel about this for the caption? At the top of page 39. Melanie?
I can't deal with this.
If you hate this house, just say no.
What?
If you hate the house, I think that's what
I do.
Just say no, that's fine.
Yeah, well, it conflicts with a whole bunch of
Sure.
our
Yeah,
guidelines.
then it's still not, that makes it not a good caption picture then, I think, if you feel that way.
Right, okay.
So
Yeah, it's a double no then.
Yeah. So, Dawn?
I agree. The garage just stands out
Okay.
too much.
Victoria?
Yeah, it's a double no for me.
Okay. No's all the way around on that guy. Okay. 5.3 and 5.3.1, convey human scale in a building's basic forms and use historic Carmel styles only at their traditional human scales. So this picture at the bottom of page 39 from a caption perspective, Melanie?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's obviously, it's a darling little old cottage.
Okay. Dawn?
Yes.
Victoria?
Yes?
And then overall, we've already talked about this one. Okay. Page 40. Oh, First Murphy House. Okay. 5.3.2. Organize building mass into realistic modules to reduce perceived size, breaking a larger house into subordinate modules. which appear authentic in the way they reflect real. I'm not really sure this is the right picture for this.
No, this is terrible.
Yeah, so we're gonna say no. I'm gonna make an executive decision on that one. That is not the right picture.
Brilliant. But yes, you can keep it in. You can keep the Murphy house in if you want.
Yes, overall, for sure. It's lovely, but not for this guideline. 5.3.3 and 5.3.4 emphasize the low and horizontal so that buildings appear to hug the ground. Use a low building plate height, generally not over 8 feet. Keep plate heights and roof eaves lines low in scale. Tucking upper story rooms under roof slopes so as to reduce the height of exposed walls. So how do we feel about this one up above for the caption? Melanie?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. And just so you guys know, like, we took the note, like, this house I think is probably like our 4th or 5th time we've seen it.
Yeah.
We're not gonna repeat something 4 or 5 times anymore, but if we have to make a choice between like 3 others, it's nice to know where it fits. So try not to let that cloud your decision about whether this is a good caption picture. Don?
Yes.
Okay, Victoria?
No.
Okay.
It's not a horizontal, even though it's not a 2-story building, it's not a horizontally oriented building.
Okay.
And I will say, as a side note, I know we're not supposed to do this, but I think we've made over the course of the years some very good comments about whether this low and horizontal thing is properly, that's a content based, because if we're allowing for Victorian styles and all sorts of eclecticism, we really cannot impose this.
Okay.
So I just think this whole thing is problematic, and at some point we're gonna have to address it. And also it's a bad caption. I mean, it's a bad picture for the caption.
Got it. Okay. Page 41. Guideline 5.3.5. Do not use design features that produce a top-heavy appearance, such as large cantilevered building elements, wide chimney structures, or roof forms that dominate the body of the building. From the caption perspective, how do we feel about this lovely brick home, Melanie?
I think it's okay.
Okay, Don?
Okay.
Melanie? Or Victoria?
I think it's odd, just here's another principled comment, to use anything to illustrate a do not. I understand that this is a do, it's a pro, not a con, but you really I have to hear that parenthetical remark, something along the lines of, note above how the eave is tight to the ceramic eave is tight to the brick wall or something.
Okay. Can you conceptualize where this picture can work as a caption if we do something to it?
Here's another problem is, I don't know. I think it's a maybe, I guess.
Okay. That's fine. I really do think that just gut reactions are important on these kind of things. Like, it's either everything in here needs to be, when someone looks at this brand new, they're having a gut reaction too. So we should be thinking in gut reactions right now.
No, I think that's a very good point.
Okay, so overall, we know this one's a yes, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one, we're gonna have to go to page 42 to see the caption for it. So bottom of page 41 is the picture. Top of page 42, the caption says, proportion roof forms to the scale of the building. So please flip back then to page 41. Proportion the roof forms to the scale of the building. So caption, how do we feel about this one, Melanie? I know you don't care for these structures.
No, it's not that I don't care for the structures, it's just.
It's the driveway she hates.
I cannot stand 2 driveways together.
Okay.
She's right.
Without appropriate landscaping and giving each one their own identity.
Okay, so this is not for you, this is not a good caption picture because there's other stuff going on in here that we don't like. Dawn?
No.
Okay, Victoria?
No.
Okay. So overall, I think we're a no as well.
Well, no, overall, we like, I think Melanie, I don't really want to put words in Melanie's mouth, but I think overall we've accepted this duo for the I was about to say the housing element for the document. I don't know if I'm wrong about that, but that's what I thought I heard.
I can't understand.
Are you
what
okay,
she's
Melanie?
saying.
For overall, would you be okay seeing this picture, these 2 structures together somewhere in the overall design guidelines?
Especially if we don't look at the driveway, like there could be an angle.
Yeah.
Only if they're like, I like them individually, but to use them together like this, with this amount of you know, and I don't call this open space driveways like this. I mean,
It's
I
like
just can't
hardscape. You look
buy
at it as
into,
hardscape.
I can't buy into this
Hardscape.
picture
Okay.
being a good thing overall
But let me-
for design traditions.
Let me make one suggestion. I do think we should do a little, we should do a thought experiment, because these angles are bad for these two buildings. We have almost only bad angles. There's one at the very beginning where it's more askance, and nobody had a problem with that picture. So I just think we cannot show this head-on view. We can show looking across photos to the new one, or we can show the new one looking across the photos where we don't see the hardscape or something. But just keep in mind that I think it's a maybe, because we keep looking at this horrible photo, so.
Yeah, or individually, because you're right, this does create a tunnel effect a little bit.
Yeah, it's a
Yep.
it's a tunnel effect.
42.
Plus, you know, there should be some landscaping in between these two houses. That's why I hate putting, you know, driveways like this, you know, without adequate landscaping.
All that landscaping.
All that
Yeah,
landscaping.
we cannot show that. We
Page-
cannone show that double driveway. in
Melody's
the-
threatening me with violence, so we're gonna move on. Page 43.
Yes.
For guideline 5.4.4, keep visible openings subordinate in scale to the building. Do not use grand, oversized entryways, windows, or doors. So for this one, for the caption, the picture, the photograph on the left, how do we feel about that, Melanie?
Wait, you do this picture?
Which one?
This one?
No,
Where are we?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I skipped
Yeah.
page 42. Page 42, guideline 5.4, 4.1, and 4.2.
And I did fix these diagrams.
Use building details to provide interest, but not to exaggerate the scale of the building. Add details to relieve blank surfaces, and use all materials, natural or man-made, as traditional scales, dimensions, and modules. So from a caption perspective, what do we think? Don?
Well, the caption is appropriate, but doesn't relate to anything.
So the question is, Don, does the picture serve the caption? So the three captions below are using building details to provide interest but not exaggerating the scale, adding details to relieve blank surfaces, and using materials at traditional scales, dimensions, and modules. So does this picture represent that for you?
I think so.
Okay, yes. Melanie?
Yep.
Victoria?
Yes.
Great. And then overall, I'm assuming this is a yes, hard yes
Yep.
for everybody. Okay.
Yes.
42, we're on to page 43. Now back to guideline 5.4.4. Keep visible openings subordinate in scale to the building. Do not use grand, oversized entryways, windows, or doors. From a caption perspective, does this home do that for you guys? Melanie?
I can't stand this place. I
Okay,
mean,
so for you, it's a no.
well, the thing of it is, Brandon, are we promoting the entryway might be nice, but it's totally, you know, obliterated practically by this humongous garage door, and the building. I mean, it's just
Okay, so you're a no
It's
for this
just-
one. You would not like to see this used as a caption.
no.
Okay, Victoria?
It's a maybe for me, because I don't think it's going to be possible to photograph this building in such a way that it can be palatable, but I'd like, if we have to, I'd like to see. But, you know, with that fence and the blocking of, I just don't know if it's possible, but this photo is no, but the house is a maybe.
Okay, so the
It's-
photo's
I
a
don't
no.
know.
The caption's a no. Don?
Photos are no, but I think the caption is an important one.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not changing
Yes.
any of the captions.
You guys think it would be good to, this one to be a diagram only one? Because there's the diagram there too.
But no, I just think that this is so antithetical to what we're trying to achieve in the design guidelines.
Yep, that's fine. That's fine. We can leave that. So Jake's asking a question about the diagram now to the right of it. So
Oh, the diagram?
do you think perhaps maybe we don't need a photograph here and we only have a diagram for this guideline?
No, I
Okay.
don't think so.
Okay, so then
I think we need a new photo,
Okay, then I think we might kill the diagram. Yep,
Yep, I'm with you.
okay,
yeah.
all right,
Kill the diagram?
yep,
Okay.
have photo.
I think we should keep both potentially.
You do?
Yeah, I do. Let's see what we come up with for the photo and see if we can do better
Okay, okay.
Okay.
before we decide.
Leave for now. Guideline 5.4.5, when reproducing historic architecture, limit the dimension of any glass to that which was possible to span using only the original construction techniques of that era. In other words, small windows if you're trying to reproduce a historic piece of architecture. So from a caption perspective, Melanie, what do you think about this?
Well, I mean, I think we could do better with the windows. I mean, more authentic. To me, they seem like they're not natural wood windows. The mullions are not thick enough.
They're too skinny. Yeah, she's right.
Yeah, and so they're not, it's not authentic, and I think, if I'm seeing right, the front door has that issue too. But I mean, I
Pretty sure
think.
it would, but yeah, I hear what you're saying.
You know, I don't know, does
So
that
this is a
ding,
no.
does that ding it?
No for the caption for you. It's
Okay.
whatever your gut tells you. I'm just recording gut votes at this point. Dawn?
I'm okay with the caption.
Okay. Victoria? Does this picture represent the caption?
Let's say it's a maybe.
Okay.
We'll see if we can do better. Yeah.
I know this house. I actually do believe that's all wood windows, but
That
I
you-
hear
I think
what
it
you-
is.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah, they're very thin, but yeah. Overall, this is the one right next to Thodos, the Thodos cabin. So we've already said yes to that one overall.
Yeah, I think we're overall yes on that one.
43, 44. Page 44, guideline 5.5. Keep the overall color scheme muted to blend with the forest palette. So for the caption, again, I know we've used this one a lot, but just pretend you haven't seen it before. Does this one serve the caption, Melanie?
I'm still writing notes on the last one.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Page 44. I'll go to Victoria. Victoria, does this
Yeah.
one serve the caption?
It sure does, but I just wasted on this one. But yes,
I know.
it's lovely. Of course it does.
Different.
That's not the question.
It's fabulous.
We need
It's
something
fabulous.
different.
Dawn, does this picture serve the caption?
Yes.
Okay, Melanie?
Well, it does, but I think we should use something else.
But that's not the question.
I
just
know,
need
but-
to know if this picture.
So
serves
she
the-
said yes. She said yes.
Okay, overall, we know this is a yes. Okay. 43, 44, page 45. Limit the use of bright colors, if any, to key accent features such as an entry door. For the caption, Melanie, what do you think about this? Red door and a blue house?
Well, it's more the blue house than the red door.
What did I say? Did I flip it?
No, I'm just saying to you that, I mean, I do like the red door, but I'm just saying blue is not what we're talking about in our color thing, you know, our kind of color palette. We always say, you know, something that fits in the forest, a forest, you know.
I don't think anything
Is
we've
that-
talked about would prohibit a blue house from being built in the forest.
Is it a blue or is it a gray?
It's like a blue, it's like a steely blue-gray.
No, over here it's okay, but here it's definitely,
Yeah.
Blue.
Well, that's,
You can see it looks more gray.
oh, it has been repainted.
Oh.
Now it's a gray.
oh, good, well then that makes me very happy.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
can reshoot this one,
Okay.
keep the house.
Good,
but
good, yeah.
So
'cause the
Melanie's a
house
yes
is
on the
great.
caption. Dawn?
Yes.
Victoria?
Yes.
Okay. Overall, we've already talked about this house. This one's a yes. 5.5.2, avoid starkly contrasting color schemes. So the one above, how do we feel about that from a caption perspective? Dawn? Does
Well,
that
that's
picture?
right, but I'm not sure the layman would pick it up.
Yeah. So you're a no on this on this picture for this caption?
This picture is actually a no for this caption.
Okay, good. Victoria?
It's a maybe for me.
Okay. Melanie?
I agree with Don, I just don't think it's appropriate.
Okay. Overall, I think this is our first view of this home. Overall, would you like to see this house show up in the design guidelines somewhere? Dawn?
No.
Melanie?
No.
Victoria?
I'm kind of a yes.
Okay.
but I'm outvoted, and that's okay, that's
You have
cool.
been outvoted, I'm sorry.
That's
45,
cool.
46, so we're on to section 6, we did it, last section, detail. Detail every property
Amazing.
authentically and consistently. So this first picture from a caption perspective, do you think that it's detailing every authentically and consistently, Melanie?
I think it's terrible.
Terrible, okay, so that's a no, I think. Terrible
Yeah.
means no. Dawn?
Yes, I'm all right with it.
Okay, Victoria?
I think it's a maybe. It has a lot of things wrong with it. Unfortunately, mostly the fencing and
Yeah.
everything. And we have so many better things than this.
Yeah.
I'm
it looks like
gonna do my steering committee whispering, and we're gonna call that a no, because if you guys are that kind of,
Okay.
like, that's kind of what I've been doing, is
It's like a tract house.
especially as like a lead house, like if there's any debate, I think we'll find a new one. So second picture, on the bottom of the page, does it authentically and consistently have detail? Melanie?
Yeah.
Okay. Dawn?
Yes,
Victoria?
Yes,
Okay, and then overall, that one's a yes then.
we already said, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, 45, 46, 47. 6.1.1, convey a sense of true craftsmanship in architectural details. So this picture at the top, from a caption perspective, Victoria? Does this picture represent true craftsmanship in architectural details?
The building does. It needs to be shot so that it doesn't look like it's out in Kansas.
Yeah, gotcha, but
Yeah.
this structure could work for this caption.
Yeah.
Okay, Melanie?
No.
Melanie's a no. Dawn?
yes,
Dawn's a yes. Okay. We'll have to see what Mary Ann said in her vote. 6.1.2 and 6.1.3 do not use fake, purely decorative building elements such as dummy chimneys, doors, windows, or shutters. Size any shutters so they would cover the entire window. Thank you. Whether or not they are in active use. 6.1.3 do not use materials or detailed inauthentic to the architecture or that appears non-structural, gratuitous, or applied as superficial elements, wall accents, or veneers. Do we think that this structure serves the caption? Melanie?
Let's find something else.
Okay, so that's a no. Dawn?
find something else.
Okay. Victoria?
It's a no for the top 6.1.2, but it's a yes for 6.1.3. So because the shutter element of 6.1.2 is very important. So we need to, if we're illustrating that, we need to find something with full-size shutters.
Yeah. If we're gonna try to
This-
find something to do double duty, it
Right.
should do double duty.
Plus, we've already seen
Right.
this. We need something else.
Yep, but that's not what I'm asking you.
No, I
Pretend
don't
you haven't
care.
seen
I have
anything.
to be.
I know
provide
you
an
have to.
editorial.
I
And
know.
then, but then for 6.1.3, what's really good about this is that the detailing is very structural.
Yeah.
I mean, those arches look like they are resting, and they probably are resting on
yeah,
those
they are.
stones. So it's really good for that. So it's very good for 6.1.3. It's not good enough for 6.1.2. It obviously stays in the housing element. That's my view.
Okay.
So what is our end result?
So I think we're gonna try to find a structure. If
A
we're gonna
better-
try to do double duty on this
Yeah, okay.
1.12
So we're gonna
and
find
0.3, we'll
something
find
else.
something else. Yeah.
Good.
We should never be doing double duty at the 3-digit level,
Yeah.
folks. We need to have that chat real quick. It's okay to do triple, quadruple duty if you're up at a higher hierarchy level. So like if you're at 6.1, you can pick an illustration that does all of 6.1. But there's no point in it's so confusing I look again and there's a totally different caption. Unless, again, I can be unpersuaded if the caption, the parenthetical guidance is super clean, but we should not be generally thinking, oh, good, I took care of a whole line of them with one thing. Just don't do an illustration if you don't want to find one. I think this is very confusing, but anyway, we'll see. So I'm a maybe on that.
So I think that I hear what you're saying. We have to just be really sensitive to when you have a picture lifting more than one guideline.
yeah, you have to make sure it works, it really works
Okay.
for both of them.
Yep. Read.
And then you have to put the parenthetical mark. So let's just follow this for 1 second longer. The parenthetical mark then has to show up also in the right place in a sentence. So, if you're trying to get it to refer to more than one thing in the picture, or the opposite, you're trying to use the picture to refer to lots of things. You got to be careful also about the placement of the parentheses.
Yeah. that
So
makes
it's
sense.
just tricky. It's tricky.
You can't just always put it at the end of the sentence.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay. Page 48. I think it's our first visit on this, buddy. Okay. 6.1.4, 6.1.5, 6.1.6, kind of Victoria's point. So, multi-pane windows and doors use true dividers that go from inside to outside, where materials do not simply remain uncoated, finished with a plain, uniform matte varnish. Use details that are true structural elements such as natural wood exposed rafter beam tails, beams, rafter tails, beams, or stacked stone foundations. So from a caption perspective, how do we feel about this guy? Melanie?
I think it's excellent.
Okay. Don?
Yes.
Victoria?
Yes, it's excellent. I agree. And I will just say here, I'm gonna contradict what I just said, which is on this one, if you could say, like in 6.1.6, obviously this building has nothing to do with a stacked stone foundation, or it does probably below, but we can't see it. So here I would take the parentheses and put it such as the natural wood exposed rafter tails, beams as seen above,
Yeah.
or stacked stone foundations, etc. You see, so
Nope, I got you.
find
That
the
makes
thing.
sense.
Yeah, okay.
Makes good sense.
But yes, it's a yes, and it's a beautiful building. It should stay. I don't know where it is. It should stay in the whole document.
Yeah, that feels like it's over by Mission Trails. 849. Oh, maybe, yeah. 6.1. Oh, it might be. Oh, could be.
Both sides of the same house.
Oh, you might be right, actually, because the topography goes. Okay, sorry. 6.1.7 on page 49. Whether on a building or landscape element, stacked stone traditionally so that it appears or actually is structurally load bearing. I would make the argument, before you guys weigh in, this isn't stone, these are bricks. So I'm not
Yeah.
really sure this is the right picture for this.
Yeah, well, it's right near me and I go by it. I just can't remember what it's really on, but I'm
Yeah,
sure
but
it's
the-
not on bricks. I
No,
mean,
but this is saying when,
logically.
whether on a building or landscape element. Yeah, I'm gonna make the pitch to all you guys. We just skip over this one and
Use brick.
find a new
Yeah.
picture for this one, because this is about stone and this is a brick house.
So, but it does raise the issue that we have never talked about in the years of working on this document, that other things do stack, like bricks.
Yeah.
And we've never said. And
That's
so
true.
here, I think we actually need to say whether on a building or landscape element, stacked stone or brick, stone, brick, and the like, traditionally, so that they appear or actually are
I think
structurally
you're
load bearing.
right. Yeah, I think you're right, Victoria.
Yeah.
You can end up with some
Yeah,
weird brick layment patterns.
Yeah, we cannot have that. Like anything that's stackable, basically, it's called stereonomic construction. Anything that's stereonomic construction has to be authentically structural.
Well, then I would-
So I'm taking the lesson of, let's change the language here.
Yep. Okay. Then I'm backing up my comment. So let's say, do we like this one for the caption? Setting aside, we've seen this a dozen times already. Does this one serve the caption, Victoria?
Yes, if it says brick.
Okay. Let's assume it says brick. Melanie?
Yeah, if it says brick.
Okay. Don?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Overall, we already know about this one. 49. We're on to page 50. Home stretch. Guidelines 6.2 and 6.2.1. Use building materials or features in a consistent manner. Use design details and surface materials throughout the full exterior of the building. Do not apply special materials or design treatments to the street facade only. From a caption perspective, Victoria?
Yes, and here's a good example where you don't need to say see above image all the time because it's 6.2. It's for the whole group.
Yeah.
So 6.2, yes, it applies to everything. I've just scrolled down for all of 6.2.
Okay, Melanie?
and it works for everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dawn?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe we're stumbling on something that sometimes we can get away with just doing it at the secondary level,
Yes.
6.2
Yes.
level. Okay.
And that's where it's important, I think, to indent or do something
Yeah,
so that the 6.2.1, you realize you're looking up to the other illustration.
and that was Melanie's point much earlier when I was flummoxed for a
Yeah.
minute, but then flummoxed no more. So,
Yeah.
page 51, 6.2.2, do not stop wall materials at corners, instead wrap them around the entire building. So from a caption perspective, this is the first time we've seen this buddy as well. Melanie?
Yeah, it does the trick, but it's a hideous building. It's not Carmel.
So do you want it would you want this to be a caption or no?
I think
mean,
that's a no.
The caption.
I take that as a
fits
no
what's
from what you
going,
just said, yeah.
You know, is
I think it's a
fine,
no.
but it's just the building
Yeah,
is a
would you
disaster.
want this building to represent this caption? I think
No.
you're a no. Okay, Dawn?
It's an important caption, yes.
But the question is though,
Is
do you
this
want
a
this
good
building
example?
to represent this caption? So none of the
We don't
captions are
have
going
anything
away.
better.
What's that?
Yeah, find
If we don't
something
have anything
better.
better.
Okay, so we're gonna call you a maybe then. Victoria?
It's a no because foundation walls tend to not be as problematic as the
Yeah.
thing we're trying to actually address
I
here.
know- yeah, I
So
know what
when
you're
we
talking
see,
about. Yeah.
okay, so I wouldn't use a foundation wall example.
Okay, so then, because it's our first time saying this friend here, I know Melanie's answer already. Overall, would you like to see this house show up somewhere in the design guidelines?
No.
Melanie's a no. Dawn?
No.
Dawn's a no. Victoria?
I'm a no, yeah, nobody's,
Okay, Victoria's
Yeah.
a no
It's
also.
horrible.
6.2.3, only use primary material for building.
this one is a no. We've already
That's
buried
right.
this one.
Good job. Okay, thank you for that.
We'd like to be saved.
Page 52, 6.2.4, make windows and door styles, materials and finishers uniform throughout the design. So from the caption perspective, Melanie, what do you think about this one? Are the windows, doors, and materials and finishes uniform throughout the design?
Yeah.
Okay, Dawn?
Yes.
Victoria?
I think it's a bad example because we can't see the door. And I also think that canopy over the bay window is a little off-putting. So my gut is it's no.
Overall, do we want to see this picture in the design guidelines, Victoria?
Overall, it's fine.
Okay, Dawn?
Yes.
Melanie?
No.
So you're a yes on the caption, but a no on the overall.
Well, yeah, I just don't think it's just kind of blah. And then the vegetation, is not foresty.
It's not great. It's not great. When you compare it with our superstar lead
I know,
character.
it's just-
I'm
it's just-
exercising executive privilege here. I'm saying no on this picture altogether.
Yes, yes.
6.3, we've already said no to this guy altogether. Page 53, we've said no to that guy altogether. 6.3.1. So we've got two images now representing 6.3.1. Use window and door proportions, sizes, styles, and materials accurate for the architectural style of the building. Traditional historic styles and their reproductions require small openings in keeping with older technologies. So we're going to start on the left-hand side with the more modern one down on scenic. Do we think that that is good for this caption? Victoria?
Yes, I like the duo, I have to say
Because
that.
it's about windows relative to the style of the architecture.
Yes, I think the duo is very smart.
Yep, okay.
But where's the door? I mean, come on, you guys. It says, use window and door proportions, sizes, and styles, yada, yada. And I don't see a door here.
Isn't there a door on the lower level down there?
I mean, really?
So you're a no?
Well, I have to be. I mean, it doesn't make any sense
You
to me.
don't have to be. It doesn't like.
Yeah.
Well, those are doors right there, just so you know, on the upper left, on the
Yeah,
upper.
those are
that-
doors.
Those are two,
On the
those are
patio.
two doors.
On the patio up above, those are sliding doors.
These are doors up here?
Right.
Where's
The
the front door?
The front doors are around the side. But those are doors, those are doors right there.
Well,
Front doors around the back.
And I actually think those doors do a very nice job of showing that the proportion of those doors is appropriate for that building. It fits exactly in the structural expression it's trying to do. It's proportioned correctly. I actually think it's a genius pairing.
Big windows and tiny windows. That was the idea.
But it's Melanie's vote, so Melanie, you want this one, do you think that this picture represents the caption?
well, not for me.
Okay,
I
that's
mean, I
fine.
don't
That's
understand.
fine. Dawn?
Yes.
Okay, and then let's switch over to the brick house. Does that brick house represent the caption to you, Melanie?
Uh, Yeah, I think it does.
Okay, Dawn?
Well, the picture doesn't, doesn't show the windows, but yes.
Okay,
Yeah, the windows are.
Victoria?
Yeah.
Yes, and I want to point out that on page 53 or 58, I can now see how brilliant it was for all of us to say we need more photos. I mean, I think if I see this building again, I'm going to scream.
I
So,
know.
yeah,
Yes.
no, I'm realizing that
Me
too.
too, me too.
Yes.
As well as this one next to it.
Yeah,
I'm sick
same,
of it
same.
too.
But I agree with you, Victoria, I like the duality of this.
yes, keep a pair, whatever pair you pick.
Yeah, that's good. And Jake gets the credit for that duality. That was his idea. I like that too.
Little window, big window.
Little window, big window.
And then normal windows.
And then normal windows. Okay.
But the thing of it
Oh, God.
is, you know it because you've seen it. How are the rest of us? How is someone that is?
That's the
just
parentheses. That's, you're singing my song. That's the parentheses.
Yeah,
looking- Yeah.
Note how the note in the left-hand above image, how the patio doors, the porch doors do X. Note how the small arch for the
We
brick
got
building
it.
does Y.
Yeah, I
Victoria.
mean,
But I'm telling that to Melanie. I'm telling it to Melanie.
I know you paid her to give you that, so you could say that again, but.
Yeah.
All right, 6.3.2, integrate the primary entrance with the overall design of the house. How do we feel about the caption for this guy?
Don't call him
The
a-
top of page 54, integrate the primary entrance with the overall design of the house. Victoria?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yeah,
Dawn?
Yes.
I think so too, and then overall, we know about this house as well.
yeah.
6.3.3, rather than installing a standard overhead product, craft a garage door either to provide visual interest, to recede completely into the materials and colors of the building, or orient it so that it's not the face of the street. So, what do we think about this one from the caption? Dawn?
Yes.
Okay, Melanie?
Yeah.
And Victoria?
I said maybe to use the building at all, but I think it's a yes that it's apt for this caption. So I
Yes.
don't know what to say.
Okay, so overall, we know the score on this one too. Okay, page 55, we are so close.
Yep.
6.3.5, design a balcony to be subordinate in scale and proportion to the house while using materials and details appropriate to the overall building design. Melanie, on the caption, does this picture speak to the caption?
Well, is this the balcony right here?
It
There's
is.
two balconies.
Yeah, there's two actually.
One over here on the left.
On the
one over
left.
on the right.
Left-hand
Is this-
side.
Is this the
That's
balcony?
one as well, yes. Yeah.
Go to Dawn, please.
Don, what do you think? Does this picture represent the caption below it?
Well, I think we already talked about getting a better picture.
Yep, but, yeah, exactly. But the question is,
Yes.
does this picture show you a balcony that's subordinate in scale? Okay.
Yeah,
Victoria?
yeah, me too.
Yes.
Okay, Melanie's a yes. Okay, overall, we know about this one. Okay, page 56.
We got that.
We got this one already. We've already talked about this one. Yep, diagram only. Okay,
Just a second.
57. 6.3.7, choose roof materials and installation details accurate to the architectural style of the building. Add new energy conservation and generation technologies, including cool and planted areas to roofs only if subdued in appearance. So from a caption perspective, Melanie, does this picture represent the caption talking about materials accurate to the architectural style and energy conservation technologies such as cool roofs and planted areas?
I go by this place all the time, and yeah, it really does.
Okay, Melanie's a yes. Dawn?
Yes.
Victoria?
Yes.
Okay. And then overall, we know about this one already.
Okay, and the bottom one?
Bottom one is pretty rough picture, but
I think we need something totally different.
yeah, I'm gonna
I thought
step
you
in and
said-
give you a no on that one, because we've seen this
I
Too
think
many-
to
practice.
nauseation.
Too many,
already.
yeah, and there's nothing handcrafted.
Okay, last page. This is a good one to end on. So this is supposed to be doing all three guidelines below it. Distinguishing a gate from the adjoining fence or wall with crafted or individualized details. Never using gate posts or columns that are monumental or out of scale with the building design. Use house identification devices such as name and number signage that is subordinate to and appropriate to the architecture. So from the caption perspective, recognizing this, trying to lift all three right now. Melanie, what do you think?
Well, I think it's good. I'm not quite sure. You guys, look at the top of the little fence. To me, it looks like it could be something at the top of the little fence here over the, under the arbor, that it might fulfill the identification device.
Yeah, the identification device is in the ivy,
Where?
actually.
It has the
It's
name.
right there.
It's all
Okay.
good.
See, it's like hidden into the ivy. That's how good of a job they
Well, they
did.
did a really good job. They
Yeah.
need to trim. Okay, so, yeah, I like this
Okay,
one.
Melanie's a yes. Don?
Yes.
Victoria?
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
And overall, we know about this one.
Yeah, and you guys, on a house that's really interesting, Don, I'm sure you know this one too.
Yes,
I
tell
think
us when you want to
I
see.
think it's, oh, you guys, it's between 13th and Santa Lucia, and I'm just trying to vision right now if it's, and this kind of reminds me of it in a way. And there's several houses on that street.
Do you know which street it is?
It's either Dolores or Lincoln, between Santa Lucia, and it's on the southeast side.
Okay.
The houses, and there's several houses there, you guys, that I don't know that you maybe haven't seen, but they're really interesting. So if you get a chance to zip by, both do Dolores and Lincoln, and you'll see the redwood house that I'm talking about.
Okay, so it's a redwood sided
Yeah,
house.
yeah.
You said it's on the east side?
Yeah, and there's several houses, keep going down the street. And there's another craftsman down the street that's pretty well hidden. And it's really unique. I've always loved that old house.
Okay. All right, I think
Have we done it?
we did it. That was a great job today, everybody. Thanks for letting me speed us through that.
Oh, of course, no, I was gonna ask you, in the beginning, if we could go page by page, because I think when we don't go page by page, it tends to, it tends not to be as effective.
Yep, I hear
And
you.
everybody has, and it was so pleasant today, too.
So what we'll do then is, we didn't go through the catalog, which is fine. I think what we'll do as staff is we will take the suggestions today, backfill some different pictures, make some of the formatting changes, and we will try to take a first pass, Victoria, at the more specific captioning as well. And that'll be the next thing that we look at together. My vision for this is, once we get the residential guidelines to a point where we're like, okay, this is really good, this is like 98% of where we want to be, then we'll do the same treatment to the commercial design guidelines. We just haven't done this yet to the commercial, because I think it'd be a waste of time to be doing it both and then keep changing both of them over and over again. So this is going to serve as our guidepost for the commercial ones.
Yeah, I think that's smart.
Okay.
I mean, because actually, this is the most difficult.
I think so too.
Yeah. And
Can I throw in just a real quick comment on the next steps? First of all, I think that's perfect. Next steps you're going to do, you just said a caption massage, we really didn't do the captions yet. I mean, the parenthetical guidance, let's call it the parenthetical guidance. That hasn't really been done yet. So you're going to do that. You're going to try to use our votes to guide the new photo selection. I just want to tell you that while you were saying that, I was skimming through the catalog, and every single building up until page 25, in my opinion, is either spoken for, we voted on it, or I personally don't like it. So I know I'm 1 to 5 votes, but I'm just telling you the two on page 25 are great. And the rest of them, I would not add from any other page of this catalog.
Okay.
So that, I don't know if that saves you time, but that's just my opinion. It may be shared with others, and that might help you. But I know I'm only 20%, so take it for what it's worth.
Okay.
So, Victoria, could you repeat that again for me? Everything up to 25 is okay?
No, everything up to 25 is either we have okayed it and judged it as a group, and a lot of that stuff is staying in. There's not that much that's extra actually in the catalog.
Okay,
But when it comes to page 25, I saw 2 buildings I've never seen before, both of which I like. So that's what I'm saying. I don't see any other like buildings that were not used that I think, oh, it's a shame we missed that one.
I was trying to
But
say
in
earlier.
25,
There's 16
page 25,
There's 16 more houses in this catalog that we have not seen yet.
and I'm saying I like 2 of them.
The last 8 pages are all ones that we did not look at today at all.
Yeah, and I think most of those have problems, and so I would stick with for me, again, just my view. Although I will say the bottom of page 22, if it's photographed correctly, there's some that I can't see. So, but anyway, I'm just telling you I like the ones on 25.
Well, I think what we might do. Okay, got it.
I'm trying to get where she is.
It's okay.
This house looks kind of redwoody. It's in the area.
It's not a,
Is that the one you were talking about?
I think that's one. Yeah.
Is this the redwood house you're talking about?
Let me see.
Because that is in the area of town you're talking about. We drove that way when we were cutting through.
The top one isn't.
No, the bottom one.
No, this is the one on my street.
Oh.
Okay.
This is the red one's on my street. Yeah.
Okay.
And another thing, I don't know, did you guys do this? Like some of the photos from the original Too Many Photos version are actually, more main characters in this town than some of the ones that are in here. So I don't know if you farmed that enough, but you don't have to. I'm just saying, some of them sprung to mind as, like the Frank Lloyd Wright house,
Mm-hmm.
Just like the obvious killer buildings that are so great. We don't want to miss those. We want this to be a really inspiring document. Now that we have to beef it up by 80 some whatever. Just
Thank
think of.
you.
And then can I just
Thanks, Don.
one thing that we have talked about before, and we agreed to, that in this document we are not, and I know this is difficult, but we're not going to have a caption and show a picture, and maybe the caption works well with this picture, the picture works well with the caption on this particular thing, but it has like 5 inconsistencies with other things, and it just drives me bonkers when I see that. I mean, because I cannot not annotate, scribble, and just go crazy when I see that in the document, because I think, my goodness, what is going to happen,
Do you think that's for the picture overall or for the house overall? Like if a house has things that are incongruous to the design?
The building, and
no,
it's the building in the picture, and with the lack thereof of consistency with other important design guidelines.
So like if the architecture of the house was the most amazing architecture you've ever seen, but the entire site was asphalt, you'd be like, you can't use this picture as a caption for architecture.
Absolutely, we couldn't.
Yeah, understood.
Or anything.
Unless you shoot it from a different angle.
Unless you can crop it in such a way.
Like for this house, the one that we saw quite a bit, the brick house, if you I took pictures from this angle, because if you take pictures from this angle, there's large swaths of gravel going up to the house that directly contradict a lot of our design guidelines. So it seems like it's not necessarily the house as a whole, but how you shoot it to make sure you hide those boo-boos.
And pray that
Yeah, if you
nobody
can
goes
hide the
by to
crap,
look at
then
hide the crap.
then that's fine.
Photoshop the crap.
Perfect.
Yep.
That's right.
Well, then, and that might
I mean,
that seems doable, especially if once we get to the final, we want to get professional shots and Photoshop, we can say,
One of the things I was going to say earlier when Marianne was about to leave is that as Jake and I were driving around one of the times taking pictures, we realized when we get to the final list of stuff we want to shoot, if it's 50 or whatever, like we're gonna be okay as a city going to that homeowner and saying, hey, we're gonna be including you in our design guidelines. Would it be okay if we staged the front of your house a little bit? Maybe you move your car for us.
Sure.
We're gonna take real good pictures and work with the property owners to get the best picture possible.
And then,
Yeah. There you go.
and then one thing I wanted to show you from the old ones. Victoria, do you remember this picture?
Oh,
I don't think she could see that.
On the old one? Can you see that?
Tell me, just, no, I can't,
Let
but
me just
describe it
tell
to
you.
me.
It says enhance, restore, preserve the forest and all improvement projects, blah, blah, blah. And it has the most incredible picture of scenic with, see this one?
Yeah.
And
So
then
if you have the last version, Victoria, before we did this, it's actually.
Well, actually, I can picture it now that you've described where it is,
And then
so
look
yeah.
at- And then look at, see, Jake, see, this is what drives me crazy when we don't really, when this whole thing is premised on the forest. And then look at this little house here. It's not pretty in this black and white, but it's wonderful. Look at Jake, this little house, and it shows how it's nestled in the forest. We have these things, and I think we need to go back and look at some of them.
But I mean, Melanie, one of the things we talked about, we may argue about this right now, but one of the things we talked about in previous meetings is that this picture that literally just shows trees, there's no development in this project whatsoever. This is a design guidelines for development. So this is a picture that belongs in like a forest management plan.
Find something that shows that
Development
shows,
alongside of trees.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
I take that point, but I don't think we would ever put this picture back in because this is just a picture of trees.
No.
That's why I like for these ones, I tried to step away and get better photos for these ones
Yeah.
to show the forest.
This is a good
Yeah,
one.
that
This is a really good
but
one.
that's outstanding. That
Yeah.
should be like on the cover of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Point
it's
taken.
beautiful.
We gotcha. Okay.
And then there's one in here that actually showed you guys, you had it, where it was protecting, here, look at, Brandon, it's protecting the trees during construction.
I think we just didn't have a picture for that guideline, what, 1.1.8?
We decided we
Yeah,
didn't
we
need a
didn't.
photograph to show tree protection.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that when we're looking at things, we can go back and look at some of these great pictures.
Yeah, that's what I was plugging for. And I wanted to say one other quick thing for in the Photoshop category. I have been realizing lately with my new phone model that AI has gotten much better at removing cars, so you can just erase them out.
Yeah, literally, you click on it, and if
Can
it
you really?
finds an outline, you can just tell it to make it go away, and then it fills in
Yeah.
the thing's supposed to be behind it.
Yeah,
And it might be good enough for this, we'll see.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind, even just to present to the group. If it's not too cumbersome and you're thinking, oh my God, they're gonna be so distracted by this car.
Yeah.
And you can just pencil it out.
Yeah, we do, when we ultimately get there, we have the high-end Adobe Photoshop that we can use.
Yeah.
Jake's a skilled graphic design type of person, so we'll,
See how much I can do, but
yeah,
I can figure it out.
we got it. But, okay, I think,
we're done.
Madam Chair, would you mind adjourning this meeting, please?
Yes.
Of course, I thought we were adjourned when Dawn left,
No,
so
you still
it's
have-
adjourned.
Oh, yeah, because we don't have a quorum anymore. You guys
Yeah.
self-adjourned. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Bye,
Okay.
Victoria. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks Victoria for spending all this time.
Well,